Hey friends, welcome to Shigaraki.so. Today we are gonna see what if Deku was raised by Lucifer Morningstar.so. Before we start, check out my Patreon page for 18 plus exclusive mature content. We will now proceed to the video. A very pregnant woman with green hair, emerald eyes with 3 freckles on each of her cheeks on her round face had just arrived at Musatafu General. Midoriya Inko had already called her husband, Midoriya Hisashi, when she went into labor before the ambulance arrived. He was about 25 miles in far-out Yokohama at a construction site where he was the foreman. His boss released him and called local police about his situation. They escorted him as he was traveling at high speeds to get to his beloved wife. Surprisingly, the child's birth was quick. The doctors and nurse were amazed at the outcome, only for their amazement to turn into a concern, then to fear, followed by codes being called. At the same time, an officer hydroplaned off a long patch of water, losing control of the car, which then struck Hisashi's car. The Midoriyas did not survive. The doctor held the child in his arms, his heart filled with sorrow. "I am so sorry, little one." The doctor embraces the child he brought into this world. "Forgive me." As he put the child in an incubator, his tears streamed down his weathered face. His eyes then widened as a nurse gave him the news of what happened to the baby's father. He left the delivery room to go and file the paperwork and locate the closest living relative to the boy. Down a corridor, he had to go through the waiting room to get to his destination. The doctor hit a button on the hallway wall, and a pair of double doors opened. "Why hello doctor, how is my sister?" The doctor froze as he stared at a tall 6'3" giant of a man. He was devilishly handsome with a Wales accent. He wore a neat 5 o'clock shadow lining his strong jawline. His eyes were brown and seemed to pierce into his very soul. "Doctor?" The doctor shook his head. "Sir?" The man's eyes flashed a bit of orange. "My sister Inko Midoriya Morningstar." His voice was entrancing, bewitching the doctor, who then looked at the clipboard he had. The doctor then questioned the man checking the paperwork. "Mr. Lucifer Morningstar." The man said his name as it suddenly appeared on the clipboard, trailing an orange glow. "Lucifer Morningstar, sir. Is that stage name?" The doctor rechecked his board. It checked out as Lucifer gave him his identification. "God given, I'm afraid." The man called Lucifer gave the doctor a 1,000-watt smile. "Please doctor, how are they?" "Mr. Morningstar, she had a baby boy." Lucifer continued to smile at the news, however she did not make it, sir. Lucifer's smile vanished as he closed his eyes at the news. "Also, I am afraid to inform you that her husband was also in a car accident and died on the scene." Tears flowed from Lucifer's eyes. The child was alone. "I will take the boy," he said as the doctor nodded, leading him to an office. "This is who I am." 12 years have passed since that fateful day. Lucifer had named the boy Izuku, combining the boy's parents' names, but replaced the S with a Z because he was a cheeky bastard. Izuku Morningstar was a bright young lad, and Lucifer did not expect parenting to be so uncomfortable. From doctor visits, crying, oh his father the crying. However, despite it all, Lucifer was just as comfortable as he was annoyed. He called up an old friend, well, friend may not be the right word, Mazakine, to assist with child rearing. "Auntie Maze." Izuku called out to her as she stepped out of the elevator. Unlike Lucifer, the little green-haired cinnamon roll broke her, melting her into a doting mom-like aunt. Izuku was quick to jump into her arms as she picked him up, like so many times before, spinning him around. She put him down as she then pulled out a hooked blade and attacked him. Izuku began laughing, ducking, and dodging Mei's swipes, enjoying himself. To him, this was how his dear auntie played with him. Mei's increased her actions as Izuku caught her arm, then disarmed her for the first time. Mei's eyes went wide, holding back her pride as she spun, pulling out a second hooked blade. The blades clashed and clanged, then deadlocked. "This is fun, auntie." "Yes, it is my green puffball." Mei's stopped, as did Izuku, whose smile never left his face as he handed Mei's back her blade. Mei's lost herself and she embraced him, kissing the top of his head. Lucifer had been watching the interaction with a very expensive bourbon drink in his hand. He looked on, smiling, then shook his head. What was this feeling? Izuku then ran to him, giving him a hug. Thump. Lucifer felt his chest go warm. "Uncle, did you see?" Izuku looked up at him, still smiling. Thump, thump. The warmth increased as his arms moved on their own. "Uncle?" Lucifer then knelt down to his level, looking into Izuku's eyes as Izuku repeated his word. "I did, child." Lucifer felt himself smile as he embraced Izuku for the first time. "I am so proud of you." Izuku's eyes watered. His uncle had never embraced him before. Izuku's actions were small, but what Lucifer felt, what was it? Pride. Was he proud of his nephew? No, this was more. Suddenly a gust of wind flooded the room. Lucifer quickly stood, covering the boy at the sudden arrival. Instinctively, Lucifer revealed a deep secret. 2 bright, wide and glorious wings shot out of his back. "Uncle is an angel." Izuku proclaimed, his eyes in complete awe of the man who raised him. Izuku then looked at the arrival. "Emanadial." Lucifer did a double take and looked back at Izuku. Lucifer turns to him, how? He's my guardian angel. Izuku replied, then told him how he was sleepwalking and leapt off the balcony. Lucifer looked on in horror, then back at the angel known as Amenadiel, who crossed his arms with gave a haughty smirk. The new arrival had dark skin with the body of an Adonis. He was bald with a black goatee, he was more handsome than Lucifer with a pair of soft grey wings. He wore what seemed like ceremonial sleeveless robes with a metal necklace that had what Izuku thought was a spike for a pendant. "Hello, nephew," Amenadiel revealed as Izuku smiles, losing his mind, and ran to the angel. The angel wraps his wings around his nephew and embraced him, "Now you know." Lucifer looked on, his mind racing as Amenadiel released Izuku, who was beaming. Amenadiel then looked at Lucifer, "Your return to the underworld has been requested." Lucifer gave him a curt nod, with his drink still in hand moved to the living room, bringing his wings back in and disappearing into his back. "Well," he said with a coy smile, then beckoned Izuku to him. The child smiled and goes to him, taking a seat next to him. "Let me check my calendar." Lucifer smiled at his nephew, wrapping his arm around him as he pulled out a little black book, opening it. "How about between the 5th of I do not think so and the 17th of never gonna happen?" Izuku laughed at the joke as Lucifer then gave a cheeky grin. "I have retired, dear brother." Amenadiel was holding back his growing anger for the sake of the little boy smiling at his little brother's side. Izuku turned to the man who raised him, "Uncle, what does he mean, a return to the underworld? You are an angel, right?" Lucifer swallowed dryly. "I saw your beautiful wings, the shining light, can I see them again?" Lucifer looked at the child, he raised his eyes, sparkling. "Thump. Please." Lucifer then looked at his brother, confusion in his eyes. Amenadiel then felt his brother's heart as he looked back at Izuku. "Thump, thump." Lucifer then got up with a smile and shot out his wings again in all their heavenly glory. Izuku's eyes widened, he was so pure innocent, "Can I touch them?" Lucifer choked up and nodded his head. This was not pride or any other feeling but one. Izuku then touched his hand to one of them, sending electricity back to him. "Amenadiel, help me," Lucifer whispered, his heart was rapidly beating with each touch from the boy. Time slowed down to the boy as Amenadiel activated his blessing, chronostasis. "Brother, what is this I am feeling?" Tears were welling up in Lucifer's eyes. "It's warm, it's like when our father held us, Lucy, that's," Lucifer finished his sentence. He looked at the boy, then back at his brother. "Love." The sudden revelation hit him all at once, making what he was about to do even more painful. Time resumed as Lucifer suddenly picked Izuku up and pulled him to his chest. "I cannot go back, Amenadiel, I just cannot." "Lucy, you need to. Do you have any idea what will happen? All those damned, the demons are no longer my concern. Every day I regret what I did. Now you want me to abandon my boy?" Like a lightning bolt entered the room and appeared another dark-skinned man in a grandpa sweater vest with plain slacks and Crocs. "Dad." Izuku turned to see the new arrival. The man had soft eyes, salt and pepper, tightly curled short hair. Izuku looked at the man, who stared back at him. He was the sole focus of the older gentleman. "Grandpa?" Izuku said as Lucifer put him down. The older man smiled, shaking his head yes. He knelt down to Izuku's level as the blissfully unaware green-haired boy ran into his embrace. Before Izuku were two vastly powerful supernatural beings, and now he was in the arms of the one who created the world. "I have a grandpa." The gentleman chuckled, tightening his hug, nodding his head yes. "And I a grandson." The man then looked at Lucifer, "Whom I love very, very much." Lucifer fell to his knees as the gentleman continued, "Who I never want to be away from, for it will cause me great unimaginable pain." His eye never left Lucifer's. "I love you, son, I wish you to be with me, but not in this state." "What do you mean, grandpa?" Izuku turned to face his grandpa. The gentleman looks at his grandson with a soft smile. "Izuku Morningstar, do you know who and what I am? If my uncles are angels and you are my grandpa, that makes you." Izuku's eyes widened as his grandpa smiled. "Are my parents safe?" "Very much so, and they love you so very much. I am sorry for what happened, but even I am governed by certain rules that no matter how much I want to change or interfere I cannot." He then hugged his grandson. "Please forgive me, child, but in order to change certain things, balance must always remain constant." Lucifer could not take it anymore. "You're my bloody father, how can you prater on about balance? You created the system. And I must abide by it. What do you take me for, Samuel? I know your plan, it will work. For I provided you the means, now you know the cost." Lucifer's eyes widened at his father's words. "That feeling engulfing you right now, the thought of possibly losing him," his father began to cry. "It's breaking your heart like mine was when I cast you out along with several of your brothers and sisters that followed your foolishness." Izuku looked at his grandfather, he felt his sadness as the boy began to cry. "Sin cannot enter the Silver City, especially from a celestial. It was either cast you out or erase you. Can you even comprehend the latter? Doing that to my own children." Over the eons I suffered, my siblings suffered, what they turned into, ripping off their own wings and embracing the madding darkness that you created. Lucifer was now crying, balance. What bloody rubbish, why weren't we given the opportunity to repent? Humans do it all the time and flood into the Silver City in droves. Lucifer's eyes never left his father's. I changed hell, though I hated your creation for millennia, I realized why should my siblings be forced to torment the damned. It took time, which I had, but I got rid of the hellfire and brimstone, I still could do it for I still had my wings. I am your light bringer, after all, so I took it all. Lucifer then told Amanadiel to hide the boy beneath his wings. For my siblings, I took it all. Lucifer's face began to burn as revealing the devil underneath. His father looked on in horror, don't you dare look away. Father. Suddenly Izuku got loose from Amanadiel and saw the man who raised him in his devil form. Izuku's eyes flooded with tears, Papa Lucifer's heart shattered into a million pieces. Izuku did not look away, Papa. He ran to him leaping in his arms, Lucifer caught him as the boy buried his head in his chest. I will take away your pain, Papa. Lucifer was crying, he never wanted Izuku to see this part of him, I will be your hero, Papa, please do not cry. Izuku looked up at Lucifer still in his devil face, the boy was not afraid as he touched his cheek, I love you, Papa, let me be your hero. Starting at his hand, Lucifer felt his face returning to normal. You already are my son, Lucifer replied as a burst of light came from his heart, it enveloped them in soothing warmth. My precious boy, you must make a decision. Lucifer knew his time was short. My body is now deteriorating, when I left hell I knew it was only a matter of time. Papa, don't go. Izuku cried. Lucifer gave a sad smile, my soul and spirit will soon be erased. Izuku held on to him with all his might, Papa, is this the plan Auntie Maze told me, you need my body? Yes, Lucifer said. Will I die? Izuku said softly. Lucifer shook his head, no, dear child, we will merge, and everything I am, my strength, my power, everything will be yours. Will I be able to talk to you? Izuku looked up at him, like subconsciously. Lucifer shook his head then spoke softly, I do not know any more than I just told you. Yes. Papa, do it. With Izuku's words, Lucifer Morningstar embraced him one final time. The light exploded and Izuku was left on the floor unconscious. The duty to perform. Azakine was the first one to get to Izuku, she hissed at the angel and the divine deity. Amanadiel was about to attack when his father held him back then looked at the demon. The boy is fine, Mazakine, he's alive. Mazakine just held the boy she viewed as her own, this is a sight to behold, Mazakine hugged Izuku. You may have cast me out and I removed my wings, father, but, her father quietly shushed her, it was as gentle as it was powerful. You are still capable of a love deeper than you can ever imagine. You love my grandson, the man took in a breath. Azakine's eyes never left the boy, as if he was my own son, he broke me with his smile, so pure, my own little green puffball. Hell's head torturer, Mazakine the merciless turned powerless by this boy, this human boy. Then I charge you with his safety, to be his guardian, Amanadiel looked at his father in shock. Amanadiel then turned to his father, father, but what of the underworld? Lucifer streamlined the process, hell has not needed a ruler over it in several millennia, Amanadiel shook his head at this, why did his father send him then? You would have never gone to Earth otherwise, to meet him. His father pointed at his grandson who was waking up and being hugged by Hell's head torturer. Izuku smiles. Hiding his sadness. Amanadiel, my dear child, continue to watch over him, not just in the background, he's going to need you, us, please. Father, you could not keep me away. Amanadiel smiled as his father patted his back telling him to go to him. Amanadiel was instantly at Izuku's side, his father looked on with pride. Maze let him go as the boy looked up at his newly discovered the boy suddenly cried out. The two of them panicked as the gentleman drew near to them, from Izuku's back bursts two beautiful pure white wings. The proud grandfather touches his back and Izuku's pain is gone. I have to get back to the Silver City, Izuku's grandfather says as Izuku wraps his arms around him. I will always be here for you and leave you in the care of your aunt and uncle. Izuku lets go of his grandfather, his eyes fill with tears of joy, he felt complete and whole. 1 year later. Izuku's life changed once again that day, Mazakine increased her playtime dropping the act altogether. Izuku handled it pretty well, seriously Aunt Maze. The former torturer hit Izuku with a kendo stick to his gut and then slammed the rest of his body down with her forearm. Arghh. Yeah, Izuku was taking to it like a duck to water. You are his vessel, you have to get stronger, tougher. Maze proclaimed. Izuku cried out, I'm dying. Yup, training was nothing to him. No, you are not, but if you do not start taking this seriously, your body will not be able to take the power, and then you will die. In truth, both knew what she was doing was the right thing to do. Izuku, your papa is literally the Lord of Hell, a fallen angel. I know Aunt Maze, I get it I do, Uncle Aminadiel, and you have drilled it into me, but you forget that I am human, not celestial or. Izuku trailed off, he hated calling his aunt a demon. A demon, she finished his thought, Izuku. Auntie Maze, Izuku began, the word auntie always disarmed her, I know that's what you are physically, or supernaturally, or whatever, but to me, you're the closest thing, no you are my mom, I love you too much. Izuku really hated the word demon. He then got up, his body ached in pain as he then saw her crying. Mom. The words just came out of his mouth so naturally breaking her as she wrapped Izuku in her arms. Maze in truth hated training her green puffball so brutally, but the thought of her master, Lucifer and his power possibly killing her child was too much. When Izuku was away from her, in school, or with Aminadiel, her greatest fear was being told that Izuku had died due to the power that lay dormant inside him. I love you so fucking much kid. Izuku flicked her head, then wiped her tears, hey. You never let me get away with that language. Izuku chuckled as did Maze, I know mom, I am going to get stronger, I want to be hero, not only for Papa, but for you and everyone. Maze just smiled as time began to slow, now that Izuku merged with Lucifer he could move freely in this power. Letting go of Maze Izuku's wings shot out as they began to spark as they parried a pair of grey ones. Uncle. Izuku calls out as he rolls pulling his wings in along the grey ones. Izuku then latches onto Aminadiel's neck, then playfully plants a big kiss on his bald head. He shoots out his wings again and with a powerful flap brings his uncle down. His wings were powerful, that was the first thing Izuku mastered in a year, thanks to Aminadiel. Aerial tactics seemed to come naturally to the green-haired boy, he could not turn his feathers to blades like his uncle, but he could harden them enough to parry the attacks. Aminadiel taught him flight and maneuvering, Maze hardened his body and taught him to fight. Due to this Izuku was just as flexible as he was durable, his speed in the air was unmatched to all save his uncle Aminadiel. Time resumed as Izuku released his proud uncle. Aminadiel had taught him all he could, he wanted to add to his combat training, but the two guardians had an agreement. On the ground well, he could run a mile quickly, but Maze chose to build up his body strength, thus why her puffball was the biggest third-year middle schooler at Eldera Junior High. Speaking of which. It was now a week before the end of Izuku's junior high career, and his homeroom teacher was about to pass out career goals sheets. Suddenly he just threw them in the air in a fit of hilarity, for the sensei knew what they all wanted to be. Heroes. Izuku just chuckled to himself as he continued to write in his special notebook. The notebook's title was Hero Analysis for the Future Vol. 13, suddenly it was snatched from his hands by the class asshole, Bakam Kitsumi. Her quirk was so eloquently named. Explosion, pretty self-explanatory, but for the sake of mental imagery, her sweat was basically nitroglycerin. The HBIC head bitch in charge likes to make things go boom. Izuku took a breath, normally he would not react and cower in fear, but things change. So what are you working on nerd? She really did not care, she just enjoyed being a bitch. Pat, please give me back my notebook. Izuku's voice was calm but with a slight edge. Kitsumi hated his nickname for her hand sparked as Izuku's wings shot out. Kitsumi's eyes widened as the class and teacher went quiet, the beauty of the glorious shining wings always caused this. In truth, Kitsumi loved the sight of them, but if she truly were honest with herself, she was head over heels for Izuku. Since their elementary years, Kitsumi was the source of Izuku's torment. She was the reason he came back to Lux with bruises and tears. Maze wanted to just end the bitch's life for hurting her precious green puffball. Lucifer was no different, Izuku would never fight back, due to Kitsumi being a girl. At a young age, Lucifer told him of the double standards when it came to genders. It was bad enough Izuku was quirkless, but male violence towards females was a lose-lose. So Lucifer taught Izuku wit and the sacred arts of biblical-leveled roasting. Flashback. If you cannot hit back physically, slaughter them with your words. Lucifer would tell him, at first Izuku did not like this, at first. Several times Izuku would receive a beating from the girl, only for him to slash her to ribbons with his sharp tongue. Many a time Kitsumi would be sent home in tears from Izuku's master-level retorts, ranging from insulting her intelligence and ending with her physical appearance. Lucifer felt a sense of pride when he met the girl's parents after one spectacular tongue lashing the girl received. He was not a tiny bit intimidated by the fiery blonde that was Kitsumi's mother. Her words fell on deaf ears as Lucifer politely spoke, maybe, and I am going out on the limb here my dears, be actual parents and have her not mercilessly beat my child like some mongoloid barbarian. Izuku remembered then what followed, however, it seems barbarism and stupidity are family traits therefore hopelessly inbred here. With that, both parents are left aghast and silent as Lucifer and his son see themselves out. Such a pity. Flashback end. Cease this cat, I will not ask again, Izuku's wings pulsed sending Kitsumi's heart racing. It was worth making him mad, for he was driving her mad. It was not till 6 months ago did she realize this. He saved her from the sludge monster with a single flap of those beautiful wings. He blasted enough of the monster's being to free her hands. She remembered him launching himself back then. In a flash he got to her, then they were far away. She had no idea who saved her till she opened her eyes and saw him. She was speechless and in a bridal carry. It was the first time she saw his wings, the first time she wanted anyone. Cat. She shook her head, snapping out of the memory as Izuku snatched his notebook back. She growled as he pulled his wings back. Stupid nerd. She charged as firing off an explosion only for it to be blocked by Izuku's wings. Bloody hell, you think you are doing, vile girl? A familiar voice shouted in Izuku's head. Kitsumi stopped as she saw the blast impact on the wings she loved so much. Izuku was grateful his wings covered him, for he was now losing his shit underneath. How dare that vile hobgoblin soil our wings? Izuku was now completely certain whose voice he was hearing. Seriously, such audacity. Appa? Izuku said meekly and as quietly as possible. Outside his wings, the students had turned on Kitsumi. How dare she use her filthy quirk against something so beautiful, so sacred? Izuku may not be popular with his fellow classmates, but his wings were the class's most cherished treasure. Several female students were already at Izuku's desk with soft water and mineral oil-based liquid soap. Hidden inside, Papa. Izuku was crying, hearing the man who raised him's voice. It's me, my son. I was enjoying my well-deserved concealment and rest, but that mongoloid broke my seal early. Lucifer could hear and feel his son's heart. Come now, child, I am here. Isn't that what that blonde oaf you love so much says? Izuku nodded his head, his eyes filled with tears as his wings dropped. Do not speak, my son, I can hear your thoughts. Besides, something wildly entertaining is happening. The tears on Izuku's face made the class go rabid as quirks suddenly activated. Even the lackeys that usually backed Kitsumi turned on her. You claim to be the best, that we are all extras. Someone shouted as the class attacked Kitsumi. You fucking bastard, you made our angel cry. The student was joined by the war cry of the rest of class as they quickly overran Kitsumi. Lucifer could see through his son's eyes. Dear my father in heaven, she is getting demolished. Lucifer. Izuku heard a second voice and heard his papa swallow hard. Hello grandson, I know you are overjoyed, but please my dear child, she needs your help. Izuku wiped his eyes, then sprung into action. With half a flap he was at Kitsumi's side. He then grabbed her, enclosing his wings around her as he placed his back towards the onslaught. Kitsumi's back was against a wall with Izuku's forearms on either side of her, limiting her movement. Well done grandson. Ooh, oh, this is interesting. Look at her, Izuku. Love you, bye. Izuku looked up. Kitsumi's eyes were red and her cheeks blushing brightly. Looks like I have to be a bit more angelic now, my son, Lucifer said, and noticed Kitsumi as well and chuckled. Ooh, oh good later, devil's word ta. Lucifer seemed to fade. Izuku could still feel him. He compared it to when a PC was put in hibernation mode or when one just closes a laptop. Outside, the pandemonium ceased as they both stared at each other inside Izuku's wings. Numerous emotions were going through Kitsumi's mind as she stared at him. Sadness, anger, gratefulness, hurt from what she did to him and to her pride. Now, her body was shaking with another very strong emotion, desire. I'm so sorry, Kitsumi gave in and pulled him in, sharing her first kiss with him. Izuku's eyes widened. What in the bloody hell? I cannot stand it. I am sorry for everything I did to you, you green-haired bastard. Izuku's mind was crashing as they shared another kiss. Suddenly Izuku's mind went calm. As if something, for the moment, became clear other than the confession of Bakum Kitsumi. Izuku then took charge, gently touching her chin, causing her to open her mouth slightly, to which he then gave her a proper kiss. It was like he knew exactly what to do, with experience he never had, but yet very familiar to doing. His wings dropped and hearts broke from both sides. The class saw Izuku and Kitsumi locked in a deep embrace. They had taken each other's first kiss, and from there they started their relationship. He's mine. Kitsumi broke her kiss and snarled at anyone who would dare defy her. Road to Horikoshi Kahei Station. This was an interesting development. Never in a million years did Izuku think he would have a girlfriend, much less it being Bakum Kitsumi. The school was let out early, so there was no need to hurry home. Kitsumi took the train home. Honestly, she wanted Izuku to fly her home, but the thought of her parents seeing her in Izuku's arms terrified her. She was not stupid. She knew that her parents knew she was over the moon for the green-haired boy. They, her parents, were grateful to him for saving their little girl. Flashback. Izuku landed with Kitsumi in his arms a block away from her house, as she requested. He was about to fly off when she grabbed his sleeve. She was still very shaken up. It wasn't from the monster, but rather the sudden revelation that she had fallen for the cinnamon roll. Izuku was clueless, no surprise, to him, he was only doing the right thing. Izuku, however, was surprised Kitsumi did not berate him too much for making her look weak. Don't be an asshole, walk me. Izuku sighed. Hey Kettle, I'm black too. Papa taught him to be a gentleman, so he begrudgingly obliged. What, I am not good enough? Izuku shook his head. No, after my last meeting with Papa at your folks, I am pretty sure I am not welcomed. He took a breath and walked by his bully's side. To say it was awkward was the understatement of the century. They reached her house quickly only for her parents to be waiting for them. Izuku only walked with her to her gate. With a curt nod Izuku did an about face. Kitsumi's parents quickly opened the gate as Izuku shot out his wings covering all but the back of his head. Wait. Mrs. Backham called out, wow, those they're beautiful. Izuku then turned to face her with a smirk. You're not so bad yourself, babe. Izuku covered his mouth at his words. Where did that come from? Mrs. Backham blushed at the boldness, then shook her head. Yeah, I know, probably the last. Mrs. Backham rushed and embraced him, tears rolling down her face, shaking her head. Thank you, Morningstar, for being my daughters guardian devil. Izuku said it with dry amusement, his eyes widened. What the hell was wrong with him? Mrs. Backham was just as confused. Excuse me? Guardian devil, Morningstar is another name for the devil, Lucifer my papa. I suppose you are right, I was going to say guardian angel, but if you say so. She then thought of the boy's father. Even though I am sorry you lost your papa, I cannot disagree with that man being his namesake. Izuku's eyes showed fear, not by her statement but his own. I do not mean any disrespect. Izuku and I know, I had a duty to perform. I was not going to let that monster take Cat. Mrs. Backham then hugged him again as Izuku shot out his wings and flew off. Inside the Backham home, Kitsumi's father would not let his little girl go. Kitsumi kept telling him she was okay, but honestly, she was loving his affection when Mrs. Backham came in. You are marrying that boy. Kitsumi widened her eyes at her mother's declaration. She opened her mouth but nothing came out. I want Angel. Grandbabies. Kitsumi's hand sparked as her father let her go. You want him too. Listen, you old hag. Kitsumi screamed. Izuku. Oh, it's Izuku now. Mrs. Backham pointed out, not Deku. Kitsumi screamed, blowing up a side table, sending it up, then clanging on the ground. It was a sturdy side table and filled with the dings of wrath from Kitsumi. Thought so. Kitsumi huffed, marching her way to her. He's quite handsome too, get him before some other bitch takes him. Mrs. Backham laughed as Kitsumi slammed her door. God damn it. Kitsumi screamed into her fluffy pillow with a green case. I want to make angel babies too. Kitsumi then hugged the pillow, but I am pretty sure I fucked that up, god damn it. She tried to banish her memories of tormenting and bullying Izuku away. They used to bring her joy and now they disgusted her. Her room was by any means anything but a normal girl's room. Her walls were littered with All Might and grunge metal band posters calling for death and destruction. She had a full-size bed with All Might colored sheets. They were not patterned to his uniform, just his colors. A 55 LED 8K HD monitor adorned a stand attached to a table with the latest consoles underneath it. Next to her closet was her desk, one she found in an alley. She brought it home re-sanded, stained and sealed it. It was so simple looking and she did not know why it was tossed out. The desk had 4 drawers, and she made a false bottom for one of them to hide her personal diary. Looking around then sighed as she laid down, closing her eyes as she let her imagination go. She could see her and her green-haired angel going out as boyfriend and girlfriend. As they grew up, taking over UA as its top students, what scared her was she was not number 1, and it did not bother her. Soon they graduated, getting their hero licenses, and heading to UA's university program. It would be there after they took down All for One. Before graduating, he would propose. She would say hell yes. She laughed to herself at the irony. Morningstar Kitsumi, wife of the devil's son. She loved the title she made up. After they graduate university they would be married with their first child on the way. Yeah, she would most definitely going to take his cherry and start early. She then lifted her hands up as she saw 3 winged babies flying just beyond her reach. 2 boys and daddy's little girl. Suddenly her fantasy was interrupted by her mom entering her room. Listen up, Mrs. Morningstar, this is how you are going to win his heart. Aggravated and pissed that her mom knew that she wanted this, Kitsumi listened to her mom. Flashback end. Kitsumi looked at her new boyfriend one last time as she entered her train and headed home. She was lost in a daze and nearly missed her stop. Getting off she ran home. As she entered her home she removed her shoes, ignoring her folks who just waved at her. She entered her room leaping on her bed with victorious glee. Gone was the All Might colored bedding, now replaced with green and white sheets with matching pillowcases. She was beside herself. Best of all, she did not win his heart with her mom's plan. She just wanted her to corner Izuku in a hallway, force a kiss on him, hoping for the best. Yeah, that would have her catch a case, probably fun, but yeah, no. Though it was not ideal, despite her actions, he protected her. She then screamed into her pillow at the memory. After 5 minutes she saw her mom leaning against a doorway with a smile. Kitsumi's eyes widen in horror, that's my girl. Mrs. Backham gave her a wink and promptly exited as a pillow slammed against the doorway she was leaning on. Kitsumi clenched her fists as she knelt on her bed, her cheeks flushed in a mix of embarrassment and happiness. Izuku no longer used the elevator for obvious reasons, wings. Mom. Izuku called out only for Lucifer to answer. Mom? Bloody hell, if Lucifer had an actual body he would be shaking his head. Well, now that I think about it, it makes some sort of sense. Papa, I had my first kiss. Lucifer could hear his mental giggles. I know, Izuku then had a realization, calm down my boy, you still have your privacy, I can just feel it, I cannot interfere. It did not put his mind at ease, but why did I know what to do? It was familiar yet it was my first. Lucifer chuckled with heavy poshness, if I were to hypothesize, I would say you have access to my experience like that All Might. Fellow. What? Izuku said this aloud. Allow me to clarify, the hero you admire so much does not have a quirk. Before Izuku could say anything Lucifer continues, I am a celestial being child, nothing escapes my sight. Izuku was silent as Lucifer explained All Might's quirk one for all, he inherited it, the quirk has as of now 8 wielders, and he is looking for a successor. I am sorry my precious little sea urchin, he's dying. At Lucifer's words Izuku fell to his knees crying, he's been looking for the last decade after he fought All for One, Amenadiel was there, your uncle watches over warriors, and like you, All Might is his favorite. The question entered Izuku's mind between sobs, free will, it vastly limits our interactions with this plane, I know I love abusing the loopholes, I am, well, used to be the tempter blah blah and other ridiculous titles. Amenadiel has helped All Might when he has prayed. Lucifer took a moment to let Izuku process or to stop crying, one of the two. With some coaxing Izuku processed and he continued, so that thing about plus ultra, yeah it's never from the human, that's our loophole, it's a prayer. Izuku smiled though saddened with the news of his hero's coming demise, but with his uncle watching over him, it brought him comfort. The elevator dings out and walks Mom, she sees his tears as he runs to her open arms. Usually, they would spare before greeting, but this felt different. Papa. Mazakine broke her embrace, I can talk to Papa, subconsciously, he's there Mom. Mazakine smiles. At his announcement, but then she sees her green puffball go sad. All Might is dying, Mazakine bowed her head he told him, but Uncle Amenadiel watches over him to hear his plus ultra prayer. Yeah, Lucifer told him everything, Izuku how are you processing all this? It's sad mama, but Uncle Amenadiel feathers slowly pass by him as he turns around and sees his uncle. Uncle. Izuku turned and leapt into his arms as he caught him. Thank you uncle for helping All Might and hearing his prayers. Amenadiel places his nephew down and looks at him, how do you know? Papa is back, I can hear him. Izuku points to his temple as. Amenadiel sighs he was happy, relieved, sad, but mostly annoyed. You're awesome Uncle Amenadiel. That earned him the biggest bear hug Amenadiel could give without hurting him. Not as much as you champ. Izuku did not know how much his words meant to him. Love you kid. Amenadiel hugged him once more, then let him go. Izuku's sadness had completely gone away, his family always did that. I have an announcement. Maze and Amenadiel tilted their heads waiting, Will Amenadiel knew because well, Angel. I had my first kiss. Smiles crept up on both Maze and Amenadiel's faces, they then high-fived their little Cinnabon. Yeah damn right son. Maze high-fived him again pumping her fist in celebration. Being someone's protector can do that. Izuku and Maze looked at him, I am a celestial being, duh. Maze gave a smirk, perv. I am not. Amenadiel defended his honor. Cause that's not something a perv would say, Maze gave a slight wink at Izuku who laughed to the ire of Amenadiel. Least Izuku thinks I'm awesome. Amenadiel scoffed. Maze sucked her teeth and licked the inside of her cheek, he did not have to tell me. She had to put on her poker face on this one, for she was extremely jealous. Amenadiel catches the slight twitch of her eye, revealing her secret as he crossed his arms. With a knowing smile, he still told me. Maze cracked and lunged at Amenadiel, time then seemed to slow. Izuku shot out his wings briefly, with a single flap he interceded. His wings suddenly went rigid, then morphed into emerald green blades. He then parried both hell-forged hooked blades, he was faster than Maze as he retracted his wings spinning over her, then grabbing the back of her neck and slamming her to the ground. Time resumed, Maze flipped only to meet Izuku's emerald-bladed feathers and heavy breathing from both. Holy. Maze looked at the wing and back at Izuku with mixed emotions, wow. Mom you know I think you are awesome like uncle, but Maze suddenly went sad, your mom, my mama, and my mama is the most spectacular thing on this goddamn planet. Maze bursts in tears as Izuku releases her, then helps her up only for her to bring him to her chest. My kid is the fucking best, I do not deserve him. Maze spoke from her heart, Amenadiel bowed his head, yeah eat it you fucking turkey. Amanadiel looked up only for Izuku to smile at him, that was all he needed. He then took out his mobile and started taking pictures of Maze crying. Bloody hell son, I wanted to see a fight. Love you too papa. Lucifer suppressed a choke then faded, which shut him up. After a time Izuku let Maze go, then gave the announcement that he also now had a girlfriend. Bakum Kitsumi. Oh, this is rich. Maze said playfully with a sinister smirk, you made the bitch fall for you, this is a better victory than knocking her block off. Mom. Izuku called out, then looked at Amanadiel. The angel shrugged, nephew, the girl did whoop your ass every day, I'm sorry, but yeah I agree Maze. Saddened Izuku replied, uncle, still, I fought back with my words. I still have the videos Lucifer took, good stuff son. Maze gave another evil smile as she raised her eyebrows, I took notes on some. And used some in hell. Izuku looks at her disturbed, I am still the head torturer in hell, also bartending gets boring, it's not like I can be some superhero bounty. Maze's eyes went wide as she pulled out her mobile to do some research, she then laughed. Oh yeah. Baby. It's a long road. Izuku and Kitsumi, the most unlikely pair to grace the land of the rising sun, we might have to check hell, it might have frozen over, Izuku chuckled as his girlfriend turned to him. They were holding hands walking down a sidewalk. It was early evening, you made her yours, Izuku was now in full-blown laughter. They were almost to her house for dinner with Kitsumi's parents. What's so funny? Kitsumi had a tick mark on her temple, why was he laughing? Izuku simmered down pulling her into his arms, he suddenly noticed his bold actions. Kitsumi blushed as Izuku just went with it as he stared into her eyes, and their foreheads touched. Aizu. He smiled she could smell his breath, peppermint, and honey it drove her mad. Us cat. Izuku's voice was smooth as silk. Lucifer was internally rolling his eyes, well he thought he was, he kinda did not have a physical form or any form for that matter. Hell must have frozen over, he. Izuku chuckled as he gently kisses the bridge of her nose, sending shivers down Kitsumi's spine. Funny no. She. Giggled then suddenly stopped, a giggle, she does not giggle. Izuku let out a low snicker, cute, like you. That caused her blush to deepen, he was annihilating every wall she had erected. Goddammit he was so hot. He then shot out his wings causing them to pulsate. Kitsumi went weak at the knees as he covered them, both encapsulating them against a concrete wall. Papa. What the fuck are you making me do? Lucifer scoffed at the accusation, well our soul and spirits merged, so it's only natural you would pick up some of my traits. He heard Izuku mentally growl, you still are you and for the record, your actions right now are all your own. Looks like you finally have confidence, how is that a bad thing? Izuku mentally had to agree, confidence was not a bad thing. Son you are in control, nor would I take your body over. Relax I told you things might change, but you are still you, but you are also me. So technically, you really are my son now, was I really that bad of a father? Izuku had mentally checked out of their conversation, as he was now engulfed in his girlfriend's lips and making out in the middle of the sidewalk near her home. That's my cue, I'm proud of you son, with that Lucifer faded out. They were late getting to Kitsumi's house, her clothes were disheveled more than usual, and his were actually disheveled. Both had wide eyes, my god we almost had sex. They were groping each other and somehow Izuku removed her bra with one hand and it was now in his pocket. If it wasn't for Kitsumi pulling down his zipper and it sound they would have not stopped. How the hell did I get her bra off and in my pocket? There. Minds were racing as they looked at each other, then entered her house. Izuku's eyes narrowed, it's mine now. Kitsumi shot him a death stare as he shook his head no. Nope. Kitsumi gritted her teeth, a trophy. Izuku smirked, honestly he wanted to examine it and figure out how the hell he did it. You know how heavy these boulders are. Izuku then gave her a sly look causing her to blush, then growl. I would use them for weight training. Izuku's eyes seemed to flash as they stared into Kitsumi's daily. She swallowed hard as her heart went plus ultra with its doki dokus. What the hell am I saying? Well, they were heavy and soft, and goddamn they felt good. Use what daily? Mrs. Bakum spotted them, oh my god your wings. Izuku then instinctively brought them in. Why did you do that? Izuku and Kitsumi painfully cringed. Mrs. Bakum then noticed her daughter's shirt, Kitsumi. Kitsumi then remembered as her mom grabbed her and pulled her to another room. So, Mrs. Bakum looked at her daughter who looked away, you. No I want angel grandbabies but not right now. Kitsumi looked at her mother with a death stare. Bitch I am not that easy. Kitsumi bravely defended her honor. Then why aren't you wearing a bra? She poked at her chest as Kitsumi winced in pain. He took it when we were making out. Kitsumi said shyly, God he can kiss. She then propped herself against a wall and slid down. Mrs. Bakum was trying to process what she just heard. He's keeping it as a trophy, Kitsumi said in a huff. Mrs. Bakum raised an eyebrow, he sounds dangerous. And it turns me on so fucking much arg. I am a whore. Kitsumi wanted to cry. Whores sleep around and I know you don't. Mrs. Backham sits down next to her, want me to confront him kitten. Ever since Izuku gave Kitsumi her pet name, Mrs. Backham retaliated with one for her as well. I will blow myself up if you do. She threatens. But he has your bra, Mrs. Backham said with concern. I am more amazed how he got it off me without a hitch. Kitsumi's eyes widen as she tried to figure it out. I did not even feel him do it, much less the sudden weight of these damn things. Her bust was a high C, but they were too freaking heavy for her slim frame. Thanks, a lot cow. Kitsumi slapped her mother's ample H cups. Mrs. Backham smacked her daughter upside her head, then got what Izuku said. You hormonal tart. Kitsumi just gave her a really look, she just told her about the bra thing. Even so, Kitsumi, you both need to be careful. She then gave her daughter a sly look, please tell me you did not get away empty-handed. Mom. Mrs. Backham then bursts out laughing. That's my girl. Kitsumi blushed shyly, then looked away with a feral smirk, remembering how it felt. Perv, come on kitten, your dear Olay dad is probably boring your boyfriend to tears. Hello Mrs. Pop, I am black, Kitsumi said as Mrs. Backham waved her off then told her to put on a new bra. Kitsumi detoured to her room. And put on a green sports bra, then went back downstairs. Surprisingly Izuku and Mr. Backham were getting along swimmingly. Izuku was engrossed with Mr. Backham's quirk description and his job in the fashion industry. He was apparently involved with the male part of Uwabami's clothing line. With your wings and body shape, I would love to put you on one of my upcoming lines. My wings. Izuku was particular when it came to that part of his anatomy, it was bad enough his Jr. High had a fan club dedicated to and preserving them. I am going to be truthful with you, they are beyond beautiful, you yourself are a very handsome boy, combined would be very lucrative for us both. Least you are upfront, but tell me, Izuku then got very close to Mr. Backham, what is it you desire? Kitsumi's father seemed to be mesmerized by Izuku's eyes that gave a slight gleam. To prove to Mitsuki that I am not weak and can take care of our family alone, so she can be the housewife she desires to be. At that moment Mrs. Backham heard him. Luceru. Mitsuki was taken back, you are not weak my love, I would never think of you as such. She then began to tear up, honey, never in a billion years. She then ran to him, she looks at him then at Izuku getting caught up in his gaze. Her mouth went slack then she spoke. I know my personality is strong and money is sometimes tight and we are both doing our best. Izuku shook his head releasing them, but Miseru, you are the strongest man I know, All Might does not hold a candle to the father of my daughter and the man I love with all of my heart. Izuku took a breath as he mused before speaking, I'll do it Mr. Backham on one condition. Name it. Mr. Backham said with bated breath. Izuku smiled coyly, have you been to my papa's club? Lux, no fucking way. This was better than he could expect. Iwabami had desperately wanted to use Lux as a venue since forever. Now, it was presented to him by an angel. Iwabami was going to flip her lid and he'd definitely get that promotion. Yes, agree to do the lines presentation there and I will do it. He then gave him his mother's number. He took it shaking his head rapidly, Mom will take care of the details. Izuku smiled, then leaned back on his chair like his papa crossing his legs beaming with all his papa's swagger. Thank you Morningstar Mr. Backham was beside himself that he forgot how to address him and what honorific to use. Please, I like that Mr. Backham sir. Izuku was beaming as he shot out his wings, taking advantage of this Kitsumi nearly jumped in his lap. Izuku laughed, Papa your traits are pretty damn strong. He was desperately trying to get a hold of himself. I see you unlocked his IR exhibition, this was my favorite and most useful. Lucifer said inside Izuku's mind with pride, Izuku I know they are strong, but they are only strengthening your desires, I cannot help you there you have to learn to control them, not oppress them, in a way they are your true self. For every being on and in my father's universe comes from desire. A desire to live, to have sex, to be a hero, and yes to be a villain. It is from this desire all of creation grows, changes, adapts, and overcomes my dear son. So do likewise or throw caution to the wind and give in to them, I did it for several millennia. I don't have millennia. Izuku screams in his mind as Lucifer starts laughing, Papa. Lucifer was now roaring with boastful laughter. Did you miss the part where our soul and spirits merged? Izuku suddenly froze with Kitsumi now resting her head on his shoulder. Her father was pattering on and on about his excitement to be working with him and Lux as a venue. Izuku was tuned out of the conversation but had an excellent poker face. Your life has been vastly extended, my dear boy. Izuku was losing his mind now inside, outside he was maintaining conversation enough, a curse of semi-immortality I suppose. Lucifer was acting way too calm for Izuku's tastes. My boy, I am going to have to rip the band-aid off on this one. You are going to live many lifetimes, see everyone you love and care about die multiple times. I am so very sorry about this. Izuku was shell-shocked. Other than catastrophic injury, you will heal, recover, regenerate limbs, wings at the last part. Izuku gasped. Our wings are powerful, but can be injured to the point where you will have to forcibly remove them with Hellforge blades. Izuku was about to cry. His wings were his closest connection to his papa. I love you too, son, but they will regenerate like a lizard. Izuku nearly choked, holding back laughter. Remember, I said semi-immortality. You will eventually die, so why not make those lifetimes worth living? Love to the fullest, live to the fullest, be a hero for a few centuries, hell, be a villain for millennia or two, not one who is a monster, but rather a puckish rogue. Puckish rogue. Izuku laughed to himself. Izuku, that perfect. Izuku snapped out of his laughter, confused. That's an awesome name for the line. Brilliant. See, you're already leaving your mark, son. Lucifer exclaimed, we'll chat later, son, enjoy your dinner with your girlfriend's parents. Lucifer then faded out, leaving Izuku alone with his thoughts. So Izuku, are you going to continue your education? Mrs. Backham asked. I might not have to if Mr. Backham's line takes off. Izuku gests to the laughter of everyone. But all seriousness, Mr. and Mrs. Backham, I want to get into UA. Papa raised me to reach for the stars. Izuku raised his wings, taking everyone's breath away at his grand display. Izuku notices, you know what, I'm gonna embrace it. And learn to control it. And with these wings, I know we'll reach them. Yeah, this feels right. They then retired to the dining room. Dinner was way late, but oh well. Izuku ends up staying the night, retiring to the couch. Kitsumi was with him, but with a heavy heart had to sleep in her room. Mrs. Backham was not going to have that in her house, least not yet. She was in bed with her hubby, who was now knocked out. The light on his side was off. Hers was on as she flipped through a bridal magazine. Angel grandbabies. She whispered to herself with glee as she hugged the magazine, then turned off the light and passed out. Nothing else happened that night. The couple had finally graduated. Jr. Hi, since was the first day of summer vacation, their parents had let them have a free day. They were downtown and just finished watching a reboot of Die Hard at the local cinema. That movie was so bad it was good. Kitsumi declared as Izuku joined in her laughter. Their next stop was a small stand that served katsudon, Izuku's favorite. Might as well eat some, the UA entrance exams are in a few weeks. Kitsumi mused as Izuku paid for their lunch and sat down on a bench overlooking a park. Katsudon for victory. Izuku declared, to which Kitsumi repeated. They were happy as they both then eat their meals. As Izuku finished, he looked at his girlfriend. She changed, for the better. He had no idea why, but was grateful to his grandpa for it. You're welcome, grandson. Izuku smiled as he leaned back on the bench. Kitsumi finished hers and was now leaning into the crook of his neck. I'm so happy, she whispered as Izuku kissed the top of her head. He's good to me even with our past. He cares. Why was I such a bitch? Why does he care? Izuku felt something wet on his neck. Kitsumi. Izuku gets her attention. She looks through tear-filled eyes. What is it you desire? She was now entranced by him as her mouth went agape. To be forgiven, I do not deserve it or you, but I want it in you, to be with you. Izuku stopped his mojo. He was getting better with desire exhibition. I hurt you for so long, and this, me, I feel like I am fooling myself. Pat, you are forgiven, or this, us, would never have happened, Izuku said bluntly as he wiped her tears. I will never force you to do anything, Kat. Kitsumi then buried her head in his chest. Even though I am not girly at all. It only makes you all the more alluring, besides I am probably slightly masochistic. Izuku then pulled her in and boldly grabbed her breast. That, and you have the most amazing tits. She moaned at his actions as Izuku freaked out internally. What the fuck am I doing? She then placed his hand on her other girl. Oh my, wait, no, do not use grandpa's name in vain. Jesus, her tits are amazing. Hey. He heard his grandpa yell. Grandpa, forgive me, but your artistry is amazing. Izuku was forgiven and swore he heard him laughing. Aizu, can we get out of here? Kitsumi said between her moans. She wanted him now. Jesus, shit, he has me soaked. Now. 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 Like now. Her voice was commanding. She wanted her green-haired angel now. Shit. Izuku released her girls and then picked her up, shooting out his wings, and blasted towards Lux. Izuku landed on the balcony of his penthouse. It was the first time he had brought her here. Past the open patio door was the den living room. In front of that was Lucifer's grand piano, with the largest bar Kitsumi had ever seen. Next to the bar and a touchback with the elevator that leads to the VIP section of Lux. To the left of the den were two rooms. One was Maze's. She was out of town right now. Each room had its own bath. To the right of the den, where Izuku was currently carrying Kitsumi bridal style, were several steps that led to the master bedroom and Izuku's current room. It was open-aired, for Lucifer was an exhibitionist in his sexual endeavors. However, privacy mode. Izuku said, and heavy purple blackout curtains closed the open areas between exotic hieroglyphics carved pillars. Whether they were real or not was Izuku's concern right now. Tatsumi was beyond excited. Izuku was going to make her a woman, his woman. She could not believe it, and in a beautiful penthouse nonetheless. Izuku, hurry. She said in a seductive hushed tone. Her voice was like a living dream for Izuku. He quickly tossed her on the California King. Tatsumi was loving it. The sheets were purple and were a thread count that no man could count. Silky smooth in her hands, they smelt like him, and it was driving her rabid. Izuku crawled from the bottom of the bed, drinking Kitsumi's emotions and yearning in. When he got to her jeans, he teased her with butterfly kisses up to her pants button. Suddenly he bit down on it and used his tongue to undo them. He then gently tugged at the garment with his teeth, as Kitsumi knew it was a goddamn water park in her pantsuit. Swiftly Izuku removed them as Kitsumi regained some of her movements and pulled off his shirt. My god. Kitsumi gasped. His body was rock hard, every fucking muscle was defined. Izuku released her of her wet undergarments, tossing them behind him like trash. He took one look at his flushed girlfriend and then at his prize. The carpet was trimmed to a landing strip and matched the drapes. Come get this catsuit on. Itadakimasu. Izuku then dived in as Kitsumi's back arched and her mouth wide open as she instantly came. Again. And again. And again. Each lick, rub, suck. Kitsumi was running out of things to grip as Izuku went to work on her. Her legs were shaking, rather quaking, with pleasure. It was an all-you-can-eat catsuit and buffet, and he was going in for seconds, thirds, and fourths. Fucking give it to me, you green-haired bastard. Izuku looked up, his face soaked and with a smile. You sick bastard, you want me to say it? Kitsumi growled, give me my dick, nerd. Ichisasama. That was all Izuku said as he moved up to Kitsumi, who was sporting a feral look. It drove Izuku mad and solid as a rock. He then ripped open her shirt as she then bit him on his shoulder. Izuku squeezed her assets as his head was tossed back, both of them sharing moans of pleasure. Kitsumi used her quirk and blasted away his new jeans. Hey. I will buy you more. Kitsumi then removed his boxer briefs and looked down, licking her lips. Now give me that. Izuku was loving this. NOWWWW. Izuku became a man as Kitsumi came again, becoming his woman. The newly formed lovers stopped for a moment, shaking in each other's embrace. They did it, they became one. Slowly Izuku moved. Kitsumi slowly urged him to go faster as she got accustomed to his shape. Am I yours? As much as I am yours, Izuku responded as Kitsumi pulled him to her chest, crying on his shoulder. She was happy as the two kissed and she screamed out his name with each movement. His actions were like a symphony and her voice the orchestra, filling them both with ecstasy. As they both reached the crescendo, then finally the climax. Suddenly they were both hit with PNC post-nut clarity. We didn't use protection. They both screamed as a box bounced off both of them, landing and then settling in between them. Izuku looked up in horror. Mom. Izuku shouted as Maze gave him a thumbs up and a wink. Good job, son. She then got the attention of Izuku's lover. Hey Dumbus, that's plan B, drinks are in the fridge beside the bed. Itsumi then hid under the cover. Ooh, oh kinky, feel free to be loud as you want, a good fucking always puts me to sleep. Maze then left as Izuku suddenly felt something warm. My turn. Izuku looked under the cover to see a mischievous smile on Kitsumi. She did say be loud, Itadakimasu. And so Izuku was. New school with the old school. Izuku had just finished putting on his new hero outfit, made from materials from both heaven and hell. It was Izuku's grandpa that put it together with his blessing. Its primary color was hunter green, with black and gold accents, along with celestial embroidery. It was a sleeveless short robe that ended halfway down his upper thighs and resembled his Uncle Aminadiel's, but what was truly unique about it was how support items and weapons were stored. Be they man-made, hell-forged, or heavenly blessed, all Izuku had to do was touch the item to his uniform and it would become embroidery. Maze loved this, for this was how his grandfather included her in the design. Back to the uniform itself, the pants were a simple black, but when the light hit them shine a bright gold, a light in the dark, Izuku said to himself as he put on his black Nike Air Force Ones. Maze made these from what remained of the fires of hell. Izuku was fast in the air, he could run a mile in less than a minute, but slow as a tank. These black Nike Air Force Ones emanated black energy that increased his speed when he ran, giving him a black fire trail when he did. Izuku also had wrist guards on each of his forearms, matching his robe, completing his hero look. Izuku looked at himself in the mirror. He has grown taller and was now 5'10", 14 years old with the body of a literal god. Well, angel, the fact of the matter is homeboy was jacked the fuck up. Hell, you would too if you had a goddamn demon and angel training you and the Lord of Hell living within you. I mean, what did you expect? Maze walked in as he was giving himself a once-over. Mom, it's beautiful, Grandpa included all of us. Maze leaned on a pillar quietly as she looked at her son. How do I deserve this? She saw her son tear up and she walked behind him. In the mirror Izuku saw her. She no longer hid her true face save if they ever had a company that was not Kitsumi. Izuku wanted his mother to know that he did not find her monstrous and that he loved her nonetheless. Because you are our child Izuku Morningstar. Maze's voice had changed, or rather she revealed her true one along with herself. Her true voice sounded more like Maleficent from Disney's Sleeping Beauty, 1959. Half her face resembled that of a charred zombie with her eye whited out. Izuku smiled at her through the mirror as did she, wrapping him in her arms in a sweet motherly embrace. The fact that her son accepted her just made her love him even more. You are going to rip that entrance exam a new one. Izuku laughed as he turned around to face his mother and gave her a bear hug, then kissed both sides of her forehead. This simple gesture was the best way he could show his acceptance of all of her. It did not matter which side he kissed first, he rotated it randomly, it always touched her heart. Maze was so proud of him. Izuku then looked at his watch. It's time mom, I love you. Izuku said as he ran to the balcony and leapt off. Kitsumi would kill me if I am late picking her up. As he free falls he sees the concerned expressions of the people on the sidewalks pointing at him. With a single somersault, he shot out his beautiful white wings lighting up the overcast morning. With a single flap, he shot back up into the air as a gust of wind sent up dust and debris in his wake. He loved having the bird's eye view of the city, his city. Being UA bound he was going protected and hold it down soaring higher than his wings could ever take him. Izuku could see his girlfriend's house coming up, today was the day they would get into the UA hero program. As he made his approach he waved at the pedestrians that were starting their days, walking their pets, watering their lawns, or heading off to their jobs. By now they all were used to seeing the neighborhood angel heading to his love's house as they waved back at him. He landed inside their front yard, because why not? Before he could even pull in his wings Kitsumi ran out the door and into his arms. Go now. For the love of everything that's holy. Kitsumi was already in a princess carry as Izuku smirked. I'm not holy. Kitsumi's eyes narrowed as she caught his meaning. For the love of Lucifer get us the hell out of here. A flash, God. Damn it. Just like that Izaki, give mama the shots. Mrs. Backham was now outside taking pictures of him and her daughter. Kitsumi was infuriated at the notion, ooh, kiss her Izaki. Mrs. Backham loved every minute of this, he was already family and had their blessing to marry Kitsumi. The fiery girl then looked at her boyfriend already blushing. Do it, do it. Izuku drew nearer to her as her mother cheered them on. Stop teasing. Kitsumi wrapped her arms around him pulling him to her waiting lips. Izuku loved this about her just as much he loved teasing her. Several flashes later along with woots and hollers Mrs. Backham had her fill. I hate you so much right now, Kitsumi said as she kissed him once more, can we go now, please? Sure, next time that's all you needed to say, Izuku chuckled as Kitsumi slapped him upside his head. Careful, I am flying us there. Izuku said softly as he launched them both into the air with a powerful flap of his wings. Suddenly Kitsumi saw Izuku's face go sad, then sigh. You look handsome babe, Kitsumi kissed his cheek and traced the embroidery on his chest, you look handsome in everything you wear. Her voice was soft, her hand continued to feel the material of his uniform, unlike me, all tomboy, I do. Izuku silenced her with a kiss, then she lost herself in. Izuku broke the kiss, nonsense cat you are beautiful just the way you are. He quoted a song he heard a while back earning him a smack for his cringiness. Cause you are amazing just the way you are. Kitsumi smacked him again but softer. Sing to me, please, she whispered, and so he did all the way to UA, even his voice was heavenly. I cannot wait to marry him. Kitsumi thought to herself as she tightened her hold on him. Musatafu. UA entrance exam building. Everything seemed to come to an abrupt halt as Izuku with Kitsumi in his arms touched down. Though the flight there was pure bliss for Kitsumi it was time to get serious. I do not ever want to leave his arms. She shook her head and slapped her cheeks once, only for Izuku to gently blow a mischievous stream of air up the side of her neck. God damn it why? Her legs were trembling as he then kissed her neck. Is it wrong that I love that he is doing this out in the open like this? She gave in to his demands like she was going to fight his affections. Bite me like a vampire. Her thoughts rang out of her mouth. Well blah 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 my little kitten, Izuku said with a piss poor Bela Lugosi accent, then did as she wished jolting Kitsumi back to reality. Holy shit. She then realized she let out her thoughts, it feels so good though. A blue-haired lad ran up to them and told them to cease and desist. Fuck off extra can't you see me and my boyfriend are busy. Kitsumi fired off a warning shot. The lad jumped back only for Izuku to cover them with his wings, they could hear the sounds of people's awed as light. Screw this, let's go get married and leave this bullshit behind. Izuku ceased his affections, who the hell told you to stop? This causes Izuku to roar in laughter. You would seriously give up your dream to be the #1 hero to elope with me? Kitsumi answered him with a passionate lover's kiss. And raise our future kids together, just you and me, fuck everything else together, we have the world right there. I love you, Izuku Morningstar. Her words came from her heart, he had hers in his hands. Izuku smiled and pulled her in. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. There it was, she laid her cards out on the table, it was his move. Itsumi, I made a promise. Izuku looked deep into her eyes. He did not need desire exhibition to know she was being truthful. Itsumi loved him, more than her dreams, more than life itself. I am not going to lie, having a family with you would be worth it all. Kitsumi's eyes lit up, were they really going to do this? My son, you have several lifetimes to fulfill your promise, I am in no hurry. Lucifer weighed in. Besides, it's not like you will be hurting for anything, immortality has granted me a bloody fortune. 5A, Path 1 activated. Marital bliss. Let's do it. Izuku picked up Kitsumi, then launched into the sky with a mighty flap. They had no plan of action, just two stupid teenagers against the status quo. What were they even thinking? Who cares, they were in love, nothing else mattered. Kitsumi had the man of her dreams, and now her life would start anew. They flew around the rest of the day, they were of age, so fuck it, why not? Instead of going to her house, they headed to Lux. Maze was about to leave to catch a bounty before her 17-year-old bunny-headed bitch of a rival would snatch the reward. Izuku landed in a gust of wind, Mom. Maze shook her head, looking at her son with her girlfriend in his arms. Fuck you, I am getting married. Maze fell back on her ass. So much for the bounty, you win this time, Yuriko. Mom? Are you sure? Maze was dazed, her son wanted to get married, she liked Kitsumi, and hell, she could fight. Izuku just looked at Kitsumi with his papa's 1000-watt smile. Yeah, you're sure. Maze opened her arms as Izuku put down his bride-to-be. You savage bitch, come to mama. Kitsumi smiled. Maze was on a whole different level than her own mom. She ran to her as she leapt into her arms. Love you too, mama, Kitsumi said as the two squealed with joy. On their 4th month of dating, Izuku had revealed the supernatural to Kitsumi. She took it well, no gimmick or running gag, she just accepted it. She thought Maze was the most baddest bitch she ever met, and the fact that she was hell's head torture only galvanized this notion. She thought Amanadiel was kinda a tool, but the way he and her mans interacted brought her joy. Then the day came when she met his grandpa. She suddenly became vastly aware of all her past sins as she fell face down to the ground. Begging not to be smited. I love him, I repent, please God, I love him so much. Izuku's grandpa simply smiled, what sin, my precious child. He then picked her up and she instantly embraced him. Grandpa gently petted her head. Kitsumi did not want to leave as tears flowed from her eyes. He then looked down at her, telling her that he was proud of her. Kitsumi's parents were beside themselves as the happy couple told them that they could not wait. The Backhams were at first against it, however, Puckish Rogue became an overwhelming success for the Iwabami brand. Which was nice and all, but Izuku really had no need for cash because he inherited Lux and was the sole heir of Lucifer's entire estate, totaling to an unfathomable amount of revenue. It was not the first time Lucifer had walked the earth, he had taken several vacations and retirements. Both families did not want them to elope, so in a brief ceremony at Lux by Amanadiel, they were wed and could begin their life together. Kitsumi and Izuku could do and go anywhere they wanted now. The world could burn to the ground, it did not matter to either one of them, they were together. How about we move out of Japan, Mrs. Morningstar? Sounds fun, where to? Kitsumi asked as they laid together in the large California king bed at the penthouse. She flipped to her side, facing the boy she loved with all her heart. Izuku brought her closer to him, wrapping his arm around her. Well, there's a map on the wall there. Izuku pointed to the wall directly in front of their bed with a large map. Pick a random spot and fire away, love. She laughed as she sat up, she was topless, her chest bounced, garnering all of Izuku's attention. Thank you, God, for making you. Izuku moved closer to her, kissing her neck as he grasped his prize, making her lose concentration as she fired off her quirk randomly. United Kingdom. Well. At this point, I don't fucking care, come here. Kitsumi pulled her husband atop her and she did. 10 years later. London had been great for the Morningstars, Izuku, 24, and Kitsumi, 25. Kitsumi was now expecting their third child, like her dream, it's a girl. It seemed Izuku's grandpa had granted her dream, for in a double stroller, Izuku was pushing their twin boys Izuku Jr. and Kitsuki Morningstar. They lived in a 5-story brownstone on 221B Baker Street, both could not believe it was actually real. Izuku and Kitsumi placed their bid and won and have been living there since they moved from Japan a decade ago. Izuku would eventually return, pick up his dream to be a hero. Well, technically he was being one now for his boys and his baby girl that was on the way. As he looked at his beautiful wife he felt like he was living in a constant epilogue. As if he was waiting for the final page to be written and his story to end. Whatever laid in wait he would face it with a smile like his childhood hero All Might and with the grace and dignity that was his papa, Lucifer Morningstar. His daughter came into the world a day before his 25th birthday. Izumi Morningstar entered this realm at 7 o'clock hours at the Royal London Hospital to an exhausted Kitsumi. She was a big baby at 10 pounds and 25 inches long and manifested a banshee-like quirk when she cried out signaling to everyone she was here. Unlike her brothers, who had their mother's blonde hair, Izumi ended up with her father's green puffball-like hair. Kitsumi smiled as she watched as her dream played out in front of her. Izumi was daddy's little girl. At age 5 Izuku Jr. and Kitsuki manifested their father's beautiful white wings. 2 years later so did Izumi. Kitsumi and her mother got their wish of angel babies as they both saw them flying around her parents' home when they visited Japan. The children enjoyed their grandparents till Izumi's graduation from UA Academy. Mr. and Mrs. Backham band together and with their combined stubbornness, saw their precious angel grandbabies graduate from the Legacy Building Academy. With their lives fulfilled Mr. and Mrs. Backham left this mortal coil at age 87. Izuku and Tatsumi were not sad at the funeral for their parents. They knew they both lived full lives and enjoyed their angel grandbabies till the very end. What more could either one of them ask for? Time skip. Izuku was now pushing six figures in age like his papa said he was now finally dying. Soon he was going to see his papa once again, along with the rest of his supernatural family. Over the literal millennia he had lived he was pretty sure 3/4 of the world's population were his descendants. The thought of it just made him laugh as he was surrounded by his many children. He had to admit he did not know even 0.3% of their names, but he loved them all the same. He was ready to go after his first wife Kitsumi, his beloved cat, died at 100, yeah she was too stubborn even then to pass on. He was ready. He grieved for a decade. During that time he moved back to Japan or what was left of it, for he even outlived his precious children. His papa came back to him after over a century of being silent. He fulfilled his promise to his papa. Within the year he got his hero license in China. Izuku rose to the rank of the #1 hero, under the moniker of the puckish rogue. Silverwing. He did it by taking back his country from the new All for One and his so-called Paranormal Liberation Front. Using everything his family taught him he brought the bastards to their knees. To quote All for One, it's like we are in a raid party of level 1s and he is at level Mobius Strip. The last user of One for All had been killed by this All for One, a hero called Lemillion Tungatamirio, and that was almost 80 years ago. From what Izuku gathered he was also the shortest user of One for All, being killed after 2 years of receiving it. After liberating Japan from All for One, Izuku served as its emperor like his time. It was just a figurehead title that needed to be filled, so why the hell not? He invented a prime minister who handled the day-to-day and rebuilding of the government and setting the country right. Surprisingly enough his prime minister was a descendant of that blue-haired lad that tried to break up his make-out session with his beloved Kitsumi. Kitsumi, Izuku's thoughts returned to her and that day. He thought she was taking a nap when she actually did die. Her passing hurt, he had been with her since they were in J.R. High several lifetimes ago. He was ready. He never loved any of his future wives as much as her. As cheesy as it may sound, even as his thoughts in his final moments drift to her, she was his soulmate. She was his night and he was her light in the dark. With his final breath, he said her name, Kitsumi Morningstar, I cannot wait to go on another adventure with your crazy ass. With that Izuku Morningstar left this mortal coil. The blue-haired lad ran up to them and told them to cease and desist. Fuck off extra, can't you see me and my boyfriend are busy? Kitsumi fired off a warning shot. The lad jumped back only for Izuku to cover them with his wings. They could hear the sounds of people's awe at his light. Screw this, let's go get married and leave this bullshit behind. Izuku ceased his affections. Who the hell told you to stop? This causes Izuku to roar in laughter. You would seriously give up your dream to be the #1 hero to elope with me? Kitsumi answered him with a passionate lover's kiss. And raise our future kids together, just you and me, fuck everything else together, we have the world right there. I love you Izuku Morningstar. Her words came from her heart, he had hers in his hands. Izuku smiled and pulled her in. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. There it was. She laid her cards out on the table. It was his move. Kitsumi, I made a promise. Izuku looked deep into her eyes. He did not need desire exhibition to know she was being truthful. Kitsumi loved him, more than her dreams, more than life itself. I am not going to lie, having a family with you would be worth it all. Kitsumi's eyes lit up. Were they really going to do this? My son, you have several lifetimes to fulfill your promise. I am in no hurry. Lucifer weighed in. Besides, it's not like you will be hurting for anything. Immortality has granted me a bloody fortune. 5B. Path 2 activated. Musatafu, UA entrance exam the path of the hero. Izuku and Kitsumi, two crazy kids with an even crazier dream to walk the dangerous path of the hero. The decision was hard for them that day, but in their heart of hearts, well for at least one of them, they knew it was the right one. Retracting his wings, Izuku and Kitsumi walked hand in hand into the exam building. For one of them, their heart was downcast for not just saying fuck it and taking the leap of faith into the unknown. Deku Morningstar, son of the fallen Lucifer, believed in his dream to stand above the rest, to protect all that would call upon him with a smile on his face. Taking the exam, well at least the written part was not all that difficult, he had always been a great test taker. Studying not so much, staying in one spot and really hitting the books, yeah no, fuck outta here with that bullshit. So he was not too much concerned about that part of the exam. Akam Kitsumi on the other hand was struggling, like big time. She had studied all week and in a flash, the knowledge decided to say, fuck you bitch, deuces. Stress had started to set in, and her mind had just flat out betrayed her. She wanted to just blast the paper in front of her, it was the cause of her current state of unrest. What the fuck will this fucking paper fucking prove? Fuck this bull fucking shit. She would repeat this mantra after every question under her breath, fuck. Her mind was racing, time was wasting and laughing at her imminent demise. Getting married would have been so much easier, at least we could fuck the rest of the day afterward. She slammed her head on the desk with a loud clang to the grumbles of the test takers, to which she lifted up her one-finger salute to all. She put down her hand, took a breath, then lifted her head. She turned to see the boy she loved on the other side of the room smile at her. She smiled back, I can do this, I just need to calm my mind, the knowledge is there, I just need to access it. 2 breathing exercises later, she had refocused. I am going to fuck his brains out after this. The exam seemed to suddenly unlock all its secrets to her. There was a short break after the written part of the exam, apparently, Kitsumi's actions were not unheard of from past exams. The only difference was that Kitsumi did them all at once and in succession. Izuku met his foul-mouthed girlfriend just outside the test room. She leapt in his arms begging for him to cover her in his wings. That bad huh? She looked at him with longing eyes making his heart thump. Go Doki. Izuku shot up his wings, Kitsumi saw him as God at this point as he once again took her breath away. Around them they heard people gasp at the sight in front of them, Izuku's wings pulsed and seemed to shatter any tensions the examinees had. His wings came down hiding them both from the world around them. Without missing a beat Kitsumi kissed her green-haired angel with all the fervor and longing of a maiden in need of rescue. She did not have to worry how she came off to him. To the outside world she was brash, rude, and beyond off-putting. However, when she was under his wings, in his arms, all that melted away as she did in his loving embrace. She felt safe, like the world would burn, but nothing would touch them. I'm fucking your brains out tonight. Izuku blushed then chuckled quietly, Mama Maze is just gonna have to step out for tonight, we are gonna rock that fucking penthouse. Tokyo. In pursuit. Mazakine kicked a 17-year-old Miriko into another AC unit when she suddenly stopped dead in her tracks. She pulled out a pistol loaded with a heavy tranq dart and fired without looking. With a loud thump, her bounty, Dabi, dropped like a sack of potatoes. Huh, I was just kicked out for the night. She said to herself as she blocked a kick from Yuriko like nothing. Do you girl, I don't mind being a Rama. She then raised a hand tanking an axe kick from her rival. They should be out around 1600 hours. She continued to muse, not paying too much attention to the white-furred bunny hero attacking her as she parried all the rabbit's attacks with one hand. You fucking bitch. Miriko shouted as all her moves were countered and or parried. Mazakine was still lost in her thoughts, how dare you ignore me? Huh? Mazakine turned to face Miriko, wow, you did not take the bounty. Miriko's eyes widened, I practically gift-wrapped it for you. Miriko's hair stood on end at Mazakine's unintentional insult. Huh, well Mazakine smiled, that right there is why you are my rival. Mazakine's words disarmed Miriko, forgive my insult. She then backhanded her off the roof knocking her out. I'll make sure to leave out the swing, Mazakine smiled devilishly and then booked a hotel room for the night. She then looked down at the knocked out Miriko, I wonder. She dropped down where Miriko landed, she quite literally looked like a rabbit that just got bodied. Miriko was flopped to one side, her ears covering her face. Wow, my rival is gorgeous. She then squatted down examining her, girl has not one lick of fat on her. She lifted Miriko's ear as she dodged an incoming kick, the attack turned her on. Damn, you're sexy. Miriko heard her words and backed up. Easy, I just never really seen you up close. Thank you, Miriko was taken back, I guess. Mazakine drew closer to her as she blushed. Ever been with a woman? Mazakine asked, giving her a mischievously evil smile. Or a demoness. I've never been with anyone, why are you looking at me that way? Miriko felt like she was being mentally undressed. Please stop. Very well, I just thought we could have sex and enjoy each other's company for the evening. Mazikine was straightforward, she then got up, instead of trying to off each other over bounties. Miriko's ears shot straight up, holy shit, I was just propositioned by a woman. Mazikine just rolled her eyes asking, what does that matter? Never happened to me before. Miriko's ears came down, she was so innocent, men do it all the time, but it's interesting. Mazikine suddenly pulled her rival in her arms, sending Miriko's ears straight up again. I can give you lots of firsts, my sweet dear little hare. Mazikine was then taken back as Miriko kissed her. Moments passed like minutes as she broke the kiss. So I take it you're game. Sorry, I was just really wanted to kiss you to see if I would be down. Miriko broke their embrace. Mazikine smiled, she was a good kisser. But no, I hope I was good though. Mazikine smirked, your tonguing skills could use work, but a 6 out of 10, if you ever want to improve, I would be more than willing to help little girl. Miriko blushed looking away. Well, since I have you here, is there anyone you are interested in? Miriko then shot her a look, you did just kiss me, then shattered my hopes for us to fuck. Like rabbits. Miriko stamped her foot going beet red in anger. Come on now, spill. Miriko took a breath and crossed her arms, then closed her eyes, he has white wings. Mazikine raised an eyebrow, my son. What? Miriko's eyes widened as she did a small hop. Wait. Mazikine caught the look of distress in her eyes and brushed it off, really now girl, I am still a woman with needs. I hope I look as good as you after a kid, Miriko said absently. Mazikine just went with it, striking a pose. Izuku Morningstar girl, and as much as I would enjoy having my rival date him, and trust me girl, I would defiantly enjoy it. Teasing my little green puffball is always fun, he's taken. Miriko's ears fell flat at her words, I am sorry girl, but he is not into multiple women. Well, that's a relief, I guess. That did not help her mood. Mazikine placed her hand on Miriko's shoulder, it will be alright girl, he's been with her since childhood, except she was his bully back then, now they are so happy together it's disgusting at times. Mazikine's mobile beeped, she had a notification that her target was retrieved and funds transferred to her account. Thank you Endeavor Agency. Now she wanted to make her rival feel better. I lose my bounty and now the guy I like, who just so happens to be my rival's son. Mazikine wrapped her arm around her. Looky here girl, me and you are going to have a girls' night. Miriko looked at her with suspicion, don't give me that look, I am feeling generous and quite frankly my son wants to use our penthouse. Penthouse? Miriko raised an eyebrow. Yeah, we live atop our club Lux, Mazikine brushed it off like nothing. Lux, why the hell are you a bounty hunter then? Miriko was now shaking with anger. My son runs the club along with his uncle and bartending got boring. Mazikine retorted, come on bunny girl, ignore all that bullshit and let's go have some fun, I'll even throw in a shopping spree, my treat. Miriko pouted, but it did sound like fun. Fine, but if we go clubbing I want a new dress. You can have a full wardrobe of them, just remove the stick up your ass first. Miriko then pulled out an imaginary stick from her ass and tossed it aside. That was hot. Miriko busted out laughing, she just knew they would be great friends. Musatafu. Do a practical exam. After the short break, the examinees returned to the testing room where they were briefed. In summary, there were 4 types of robotic droids that they would be facing. Each one had a point value of 1, 2, 3, and a big behemoth of a droid that was worth a whopping 0 points. You just hear the crowd go wild as cricket chirps echoed off the walls. Yeah, what the hell was the point of that big bastard? Scare tactic mostly. Each examinee would be separated by wherever junior high they came from to ensure fairness throughout. Meaning Izuku and Kitsumi would be on their own during the practical. Which was fine, Izuku and Kitsumi looked at each other with a grin, looks like I'll just have to outshine you. They both said as they parted with a kiss. The practical had no countdown, only an alarm that went off followed by panic and pandemonium. There is no countdown on the field. President Mick blasted his voice over the devastated cityscape. Izuku took off into the air to get a bird's eye view of the test. Since he was ushered into testing ground beta by staff, they gave him no answers to his questions. He and several other candidates were just tossed in like cattle waiting to be slaughtered. Look out. Lucifer called out from his subconscious, Izuku turned as his feathers hardened into emerald blades. It was a flying 3-pointer droid, without another thought Izuku's blade sliced it down the middle as both sides fell crashing into 2 1-pointers below. He looked down as he saw that he had also saved 2 people from HUC, help us company. He waved at them then followed and scooped them up. Where do I take you? The HUC employee simply pointed to a build that said safety zone. That done Izuku flew off to take down other droids. Time was dwindling down as he sliced down what would be his last 3-pointers. He had also rescued a few other candidates along the way till he heard, help my quirk tapped out. The voice was female and from what he heard afterward she just vomited. With a powerful flap he honed in on the voice, he landed in front of her, his wings spread fully out. God, I died. The girl before Izuku began to cry as tears ran down her round face. Mama, Papa, I wanted to be a hero, so you would not have to work anymore. Izuku knelt down to her level. Mama, you would love to see this green-haired angel, he's so beautiful. Izuku could not help but blush only for her to grab him and pull her to herself. I'll be waiting for you, Mama, Papa, I am so sorry I died. She then kissed Izuku's cheek. Lucifer busted out laughing, this is bloody hilarious, but you cannot lead her on, trouble is coming, Izuku. Izuku shook the blush from his cheeks and let her go. Oh God, I was too greedy, I'm going to hell. The girl cried out, to which Lucifer roared in laughter. If he had a body he would be clenching his side right now from the pain. Izuku saw the zero behemoth, then looked at a bowling girl. My greed was for a good cause, I swear. Look, you are not dead, Izuku said as he stood up and focused on the droid barreling down towards them. Your wings, they're beautiful, shining, you're handsome. Izuku turned to the girl as she covered her mouth on the last part. Thank you, do not worry, you know why. The girl looked at Izuku, she was staring at his defined back as his wings shot directly up. Because I am here. My father who art in heaven. You have been waiting to say that, dribble. Lucifer wished he had a head to shake in embarrassment as he snickered to himself. Ooh oh, looks like my child level up, hey Izuku, punch the shit out of that Tinker Tailor soldier. Izuku smiled as he felt his muscles tense, it seemed like the purest form of energy flow through them. He just knew he could do it. With another mighty flap Izuku took off his left hand, cocked back. The closer he got to the behemoth the more his confidence grew, the light from his pulsating wings cut out as suddenly his left fist began to glow. Lightbringer. Izuku's fist struck the machine, ignite. The light bursts engulfing the area as the behemoth buckled and began to explode. The light then erased any remnants of it even existing. A massive shockwave shot out from the point of impact, oh shit, too much. Izuku then blasted back to the girl, scooping her up in his arms and launching straight up into the sky. The shockwave leveled the immediate area of the 3-mile-wide testing ground, with that an alarm warbled out ending the practical. The girl just looks at her savior with wide sparkling eyes. Izuku just looks at the devastation he just caused in amazement. I want him. The girl winced as her adrenaline wore off and she became acutely aware of her sprained ankle. Are you? Izuku was cut off. Wanting to go out with you, yes. Her words left her mouth without filter to the horror of both of them. I was trying to say, are you okay? The girl covered her face in shame, turning beet red, shaking her head. No. Let's get you to the safety zone then. Ichako Uraraka, just drop me instead, I would like to die now. The poor girl was beyond embarrassed. Hey, come now, I am very flattered, Ichako, but… She cut him off again. Of course, you are seeing someone, Ichako said meekly as her covered face turned a deeper red. She wanted to die. Izuku blushed, looking to the side. Yeah, she's quite explosive and I honestly fear her more than all for one. Awkwardly they landed in front of the safety building, Izuku gently placing Ichako on the ground. She stumbles a bit, but Izuku steadies her enough for an older lady with a healing quirk tends to her. Before Izuku could leave, Ichako calls out to him, what is your name, Angel-san? At Angel-san, the healer now revealed to be Recovery Girl looks at Izuku. Izuku Morningstar, Izuku said as he left with a flap of his wings. The shining light had still not returned. It will return, worry not, son. Lucifer could sense Izuku's concern, interesting way of using our blessing by the way. Izuku paused and asked what their blessing called. You said it with that power move, Lightbringer, yeah, it's more than my former title and my name. As soon as he finished the sentence, the shining light returned to Izuku's wings. See all better, son. At the entrance, Izuku was waiting for Kitsumi when Ichako spotted him. The girl was now in civilian clothes. Her short-sleeved shirt was pink, revealing a high B bust. Her skinny jeans were a light blue with white Keds walking shoes. Her round face had light blush at the cheeks that complemented her round brown eyes. Her auburn hair was a shoulder-length bob with two bangs that perfectly outlined her face. She latched onto his arm and then gave him a hug. Izuku awkwardly returned the gesture when he suddenly pushed her away as an explosion shot between them. Enter Kitsumi. Kitsumi pulled Izuku from the pink shirt girl, hands off, bitch. Ichako looked at her in horror, that explosion could have been her head. Kitsumi then turned to Izuku, explain. Now. Izuku swallowed hard, stuttering out his explanation. Kitsumi then looked at the girl she nearly annihilated. Narrowing her eyes, she gave her a huff. Ichako twiddled her hands, looking embarrassed. He's mine. Kitsumi then kissed Izuku, fully marking her territory to the shock of Ichako. I made you a promise, Kitsumi whispered in Izuku's ear. Izuku shot out his wings as Kitsumi licked her lips and leapt into his arms. All night long. She then bit Izuku's ear as they immediately launched into the air. Ichako fell on her ass and then felt a warmth between her legs. I want him. She told herself. At that moment Kitsumi became her rival for Izuku's heart. Izuku wasted no time, in fact they had started mid-flight. It was the second time Kitsumi and Izuku were at the Mile High Club. They landed, but Kitsumi had her legs latched around Izuku's waist, fully sheathed on him. With each thrust into his Kitsumi, they made their way to his California king. Harder my green-haired angel, break me. Kitsumi's desire had been building and it was evident in her performance. She was sure that she at least got 90 points, but that meant shit right now. She was feeling her legs going numb as Izuku's and her own thrusts reaching a crescendo. He suddenly stopped. What the hell? She growled, but Izuku gave her his own feral grin as he motioned her to turn around. I forgot that was your favorite position. She returned his feral grin with her own as she got on all fours, beckoning him to her. Izuku dove headfirst into his favorite part of her anatomy. I love cat. Sudan. Kitsumi let out a loud moan at the unexpected intrusion of his tongue in her. Her whole body shook as she reached climax, violently, nearly losing all the strength in her arms and legs. Again she reached the peak of her own passions as he nibbled at her little cherry. Take me now. Kitsumi demanded, only for Izuku lifting her back and up, pushing his face and mouth deeper into her katsudon, feasting upon it, drenched with its love condiment. Izuku. Kitsumi screamed, echoing throughout the penthouse. Her eyes then rotated to the back of her head. Pleased, Izuku loved the way she screamed his name. She was his, no one else's. He ceased his feast as Kitsumi twitched yet yearned for more, to which Izuku entered her. Raw and fast. Kitsumi roared again as she reached another release. She was spent and could not even interact, effectively turning into his personal cock sleeve. This was the first time he had outlasted her. Izuku then finally unleashed himself into her. Kitsumi could not move and was left with small twitching orgasms. Izuku pulled out of her gently and then laid down beside her, pulling her back to his chest as he spooned her, his hands holding her breasts. You are mine, Izuku whispered in her ear as he kissed the back of her neck. I am yours. Kitsumi could barely reply as she promptly passed out in his arms. And a small emanate the PNC hit them again, and hard enough to wake them both up from deep slumber. They did it again, and a drawer beside them was filled with scores of different colored contraceptives. Around them, condoms and lube surrounded them as they looked on in horror. A box then hit Kitsumi in the head, then fell in her lap. Not that I wouldn't mind grandkids, but I am pretty sure you are not ready for that. Kitsumi looked up, then quickly covered her naked body when she saw the white rabbit hero next to Mazakine. I have the bigger chest. Miriko licked her lips, then looked at Izuku. Damn, he's as handsome as I thought. Izuku yelled as he got to his feet after Kitsumi pinched him for staring. Miriko narrowed her eyes with desire as she saw what her crush was working with. She effortlessly dodged a blast from Kitsumi. Would you be willing to share him? Miriko dodged 4 more blasts, hopping around before landing behind Izuku, who she turned to face him. I want a sample. She then kissed him. Izuku naturally responded to her actions as his mind screamed for him to stop. He then grabbed her chest without Miriko protesting. She broke the kiss as Izuku pulled the sides of her leotard inward, revealing her D-sized tan breasts and hot pink pierced nipples. Izuku, Morningstar. Kitsumi snapped him out of it, her face with a murderous hurtful stare. Izuku came to seeing a topless hot and bothered Miriko. Oh shit. Izuku backed up and apologized profusely. Miriko was blushing, looking to the side, her arms pressing her assets together. Now you have seen me, I cannot get married now, take responsibility. Izuku blushed at her response, only for Kitsumi to respond. Bitch, your udders are pierced. He is not the first to see those bags of fat. Mazakine bursts out laughing at this as Miriko lost all her cute blushiness, went away and her hair standing up straight. Yeah bitch, get the fuck away from my man. Izuku shook his head in shame as he walked back and into a slap from Kitsumi. How dare you, am I not enough for you? Izuku looked at her and began to stutter. I'm sorry Kitsumi, I. Hypnotized by that horny hair's titties. Kitsumi went to slap him again, but he caught her attack, then parried her kick. You are mine. Kitsumi said as tears came to her eyes. You kissed her, then groped her. Technically I kissed him, Miriko spoke up, now feeling bad for her actions. But yeah, he did grope me, felt good, not going to lie. Izuku shot her a look that screamed not helping. His attention went back to Kitsumi. But he did not back off, he was into it. That was all you, Izuku. Lucifer chimed in with a CYA cover your ass. Izuku hated, but he knew it too. Kitsumi shook with anger. Why did he do that? He was hers, only hers, no one else's. Son, I sense you're struggling. Dad, I am sorry, my mind went blank. She's beautiful, her kiss was intoxicating. All Izuku could do was be honest with her. She wanted to slap him, but held herself back. Miriko blushed, he called her beautiful, but she also saw Kitsumi's tears. She wanted to feel bad but did not, she wanted her man AHH. Yummy and quite refreshing. Izuku had not seen Kitsumi since that day with Muriko and his mom. He wanted to say he felt bad about making her cry, well he did feel bad about that, but his mind kept drifting to Muriko. I am all for multiple partners Izuku, but it has to be consensual, otherwise, it is infidelity on your part, and I do not condone that. Lucifer lectured his son as he landed at his girlfriend's house. When he knocked on their door her parents said she had already left. Ooh, oh, that's never a good sign. Izuku shook his head at his papa's notion and took off. It's been a month, you both got into UA and in the same class my son. Izuku took a deep breath, yeah, but there was something off. If Lucifer could he would be raising an eyebrow, well, and I am just gonna go out on a limb here my dear boy, but she did see you kiss and fondle another girl's assets. Izuku blushed, you're not sorry are you? Dad, I wish I could say I am, but I am not, what the hell was he saying, why was he not remorseful? Dad. He then heard crying inside his head, Dad. Lucifer stifled a sob before speaking, silence I am not crying you're crying. I never said you were, Dad. Izuku was holding back laughter. Yes very well, Lucifer coughed trying to adjust himself, of course not, such poppycock and rubbish, I am Lucifer Samuel Morningstar, I do not. Lucifer broke down again in tears, you bloody bastard. How dare you make me do this? Izuku was laughing and told him he loved him sending the fallen angel into a blubbering mess. Izuku decided to put a pin on their conversation for later as he landed at the front gate. Just then he spotted Kitsumi and ran to her, she responded with a blast. Hat. Izuku took the hit blocking it with his wings. Kitsumi paused as she saw the scorch marks then yelled, fuck off extra. She had never done this before since middle school, was this her way of breaking up? Hat. Another blast, he tanked it, can't wait. Two more blocking them with his wings, he dashed forward and then was on her, talk to me. Hat. What happened next shocked Izuku, she brought her hands together and blasted him away. Izuku's wings were scorched as he slid back into a familiar blue-haired lad. Really Kitsumi? Go to hell. Kitsumi screamed and made her way to class, guess they did break up. The blue-haired lad steadied Izuku on his feet, he then turned to face him and say thanks. I do not need this right now, Izuku cringed waiting for some type of lecture that never came. Are you alright? The lad said and Izuku opened an eye, the blue-haired lad had a look of concern on his face. No, I am not, apparently we just broke up. Izuku motioned to the pissed-off blonde girl walking away. The lad bowed his head, my apologies, that must be uncomfortable. Izuku pulled his wings in and adjusted his school uniform. My name is Tenya Ida. Izuku Morningstar, I say it the Western style because it sounds better. Morningstar, sounds like a stage name. God-given I am afraid, call me Izuku. Splendid, I off the same courtesy, call me Ida. Izuku smiled at his new friend Ida and together they headed to class. Class 1A. Ida and Izuku entered the classroom to see Kitsumi sitting on top of her desk. Her blazer was wrapped around her waist, with her skirt revealing her toned flawless legs. Her shirt was tied in a knot revealing all of her sensual curves, Izuku's eyes flashed green, well this is an interesting dilemma, and I see you have caught the monster. Lucifer chuckled at his son's burning jealousy. Not helping Dad. Izuku's mind snapped at his papa, Lucifer continued to chuckle, but retire himself to his deeper subconscious, wanting to see the scene play out. Izuku shot out his wings illuminating the classroom, he caught her attention along with everyone else in the room. The light died down to a low sparkle dancing around Izuku's wings. We're done why do you care, Kitsumi's words were filled with venom as Izuku shook in a jealous rage. Besides suddenly Izuku's demeanor went calm silencing her. What is he doing? The class's eyes never left Izuku, who simply closed his eyes and adjusted his uniform. Iida looked at his friend as he calmly walked by her, towards a desk by the window. Hey nerd. Placing his bag down before sitting he slowly opened his eyes. Suddenly Kitsumi noticed the desk he chose, as well as rather who sat beside it. Izuku moved without thinking and took the hand of the person that sat next to him. Kitsumi's eyes widened as Achako got up her eyes closed. Oh this is too good, Achako was on hiding the fact she was on cloud 9, Izuku then sat down and pulled her to his lap, then stared out the window. The class went silent as Izuku continued to stare out, Achako could not help herself as she opened a crazy eye, he's mine now. Her voice was slightly above a whisper, at this Kitsumi's hand sparked wildly. Losing her sense of sensibility Kitsumi charged as Achako grabbed a desk activating her quirk she launches it at Kitsumi. Before she could blow up the object homing in on her with extreme precision, Achako deactivates her quirk letting Newton's first law of motion take it from there. The desk hit Kitsumi sending her flying back. This brought a chuckle to Izuku's lips, Achako's eyes lit up as she wrapped her arms around Izuku. Kitsumi jumped to her feet, why are you sitting there? Izuku slowly turned his eyes emotionless as he stared directly into her eyes. We're done, why should I care? He then looked at Ochako, placing a crooked pointer finger under her chin. That was quite astute and intelligent. Ochako was already melting by his touch. Kitsumi's eyes showed that her plan had gone totally wrong. It was then that what seemed to be a human-size orange worm rose up behind Kitsumi. The worm ended up being Pro-Hero Racerhead. Sensei Aizawa Shota in a sleeping bag, he found the interaction between Izuku and Kitsumi mildly entertaining. Once he settled the class, he directed them to the training grounds outside near the track to test their quirks. Upon their return and their fear of being expelled for failing to meet his standards being false, he dismissed the class. Kitsumi was still stunned by Izuku's actions. She tried to hopelessly flirt with a boy she could only describe icy hot due to his quirk claim. The boy saw right through her intentions and promptly dismissed her. Izuku had derailed everything she was planning. As the students of Wana filed out, Ochako bumped into her. Before Kitsumi could react, she gently whispered into her ear, "Beauty is dangerous, but intelligence is lethal." Kitsumi's eyes widened as she kicked her leg out, planting her on firmly on her ass. Bitch, she then pulled out something from her pencil case. "Here's a ruler." She then flicked her hair back, raising an eyebrow, revealing a crazy eye, "Because you will never measure up." She then threw the ruler at her and walked out. Alone holding the ruler in hand, she snapped it in two as she cried. For it was at this moment Kitsumi knew she fucked up. Izuku and Kitsumi were still at odds. She still wanted him back, but Izuku was not having any of her bullshit. Behind his cold exterior towards his seeming ex-girlfriend, she infuriated him to no end. His eyes burned with the green flames of jealousy, her constant flirting with Todoroki Shoto, the way that bastard looked at her was driving him mad. Seriously, just take her back. Lucifer grew tiresome and bored with their pettiness towards each other. Izuku was shaking at his desk. "You think I do not want to? Then why the bloody hell won't you?" Lucifer now had had it. Izuku slammed his head on his desk, causing Ochako to stare at him. "She wanted this, besides I already have a new." Izuku looked at Ochako, giving her a fake smile. She bought it and went back to her assignment. "Tell me, do you smell your own bullshit?" Izuku was stewing in his own emotional turmoil. He missed Kitsumi, her lips, her touch, her everything. "She is only acting this way because you hurt her. But I apologized already," he said loudly, exposing his thoughts. The class was working on some homeroom assignment or pretending to be that Izuku had long completed. Now they were looking at him. Izuku gave an apologetic cough and a nod, then adjusted his uniform and sat down. "Something on your mind, Morningstar?" Aizawa looked up from his sleeping bag with a small tick mark on his temple. The aftermath of the USJ had left him wrapped up like a mummy from all the injuries he sustained. He was in constant pain, but he had to be more than a man to his students. Izuku shook his head. "No, then wait till you get home to have your mental breakdown. Class is still in session." Lucifer had to admit he liked Izuku's homeroom teacher's sass. Izuku just nodded his head as his dad continued to talk to him, well, rather lecture him. Izuku felt like his dad was shaking his head as he spoke. "She knows this, but you really made her feel inadequate. What the hell happened?" "I don't know, Dad. I guess I never had another girl look at me like that other than Kitsumi." It was the only answer Izuku could give. It was, for what it was worth, the truth. "Do you really want her back, or are you longing for familiarity?" Izuku had no idea how to even begin to answer his dad's question. Part of him did want the familiar, but the other wanted to explore and gain experience. In all honesty, Ochako was too basic for him, sweet, devoted, gave amazing head, but she was not worth the effort to have sex with her. Oh, she wanted him and would straight up walk out the door with him to go do the deed. He was used to having his chosen partner to be more exciting. She was smart but dull. "Why suffer, child, you have a very long life ahead of you." Izuku got up as Aizawa noticing him, he then turned in the assignment like he should have done a while ago. "Anything else, Morningstar?" Izuku shook his head. "Yes. It didn't take rocket science to figure out what that was, best to rip it off like a band-aid and you're free to leave afterward." He then pointed to the open window. Izuku nodded, then walked over to an overly eager Ochako. He pulled her up to him and kissed her one final time, shooting out his wings to the wonder of all. Kitsumi clenched her fists as she hid her face from everyone. Breaking the kiss, he left Ochako breathless. "I'm sorry, Uraraka." Her pupils went small at his words. "It's me, I need something, I cannot do this anymore." Ochako went pale as Izuku dumped her in front of everyone. He then walked to the window as the round-faced girl let out a blood-curdling scream. Not wasting any more time, Izuku leapt out the window, taking to the air. Kitsumi got up and pointed at her, bursting with cold laughter. "Eat it, basic bitch." Kitsumi roared as Ochako began to levitate tables, sending them directly at Kitsumi. The class erupted in chaos as everyone struggled and leapt over one another trying to get away. Aizawa just yawned, flipping over on his side. He figured he would let them tire themselves out. "Kid needs to get back with that Kitsumi girl, both of them are." Miserable. He then yawned again and chuckled, heh, basic bitch, ain't that the truth? He then heard the class president trying to get them to do something. Crisis exercise and you will be graded on it, get on it heroes. Oh, that is such bullshit. A kid with a hardening quirk, Kirishima Jiro yelled. Hey, keep it down, time is ticking, the classroom is going to be destroyed if you do not act. More curses came from various students, mostly directed to the bastard that caused this. Well, shit like this will happen on the field, suck it up cupcake. Aoi Rozu, quirk. Creation spoke up as she dodged a flaming desk that missed a Chaco, you are just covering up for your own fucking laziness. Also will happen on the field, so improvise, adapt, and overcome. Plus ultra. Aizawa's voice was deadpan as he let out another yawn and went back to sleep. Fuck you sensei. That was Denki, quirk. Electricity, as he tried to send a bolt to Kitsumi who kicked up a desk and launched it at him with an explosion. Asexual so no. Aizawa really wasn't, but he could not help the jab. Mina, quirk. Acid, shouted at him, I cannot believe I wanted to. That made the sensei blush a little, get in line. You bastard. Mineta, quirk. Pop off, shouted as he made himself a small shelter to hide in. As a result several desks were attached to the shelter providing him with added protection. Sayakatsu, quirk. Frog, upon seeing this leapt upon and springboards off a desk followed by her wrapping her tongue tightly around Kitsumi pulling her back and slamming her into the ground. At the same time Jiro, quirk. Earphone jack, stabs Achako in the side, sending a small pulse into her disabling her from attacking further. Aizawa then got up and analyzed the chaos. The students were seething at this impromptu lesson in a sudden crisis. Aizawa then gave his final verdict, you all pass, special marks for Mineta and Tsu, their improvisation prevented more projectiles from being used, as well as preventing further harm to themselves. Special marks also to Jiro, though cold, you took down your target very efficiently. With that class was dismissed, Kitsumi was the last to leave. Aizawa was already passed out, he had teaching duties to perform later that evening, but for now zzzzz. Surprisingly Kitsumi closed the door like a normal person quietly she took a breath. Reaching in her book bag she pulled out a scorched white feather, she had found it at lunch on her first day of school. Baka. She whispered to herself. You don't deserve him bitch. Kitsumi shot her head up only to see Achako, Izuku is mine, I won't let anyone else have. Kitsumi planted her fist into Achako's face slamming her into the wall. Please, know your place, PFFT, basic ass bitch, Kitsumi spit to the side, thinking she even stood a chance against my fine ass, or anyone for that matter with her stupid ass. Kitsumi walked away bit, though bleeding, Achako had an evil smile as she hit her mobile's touchscreen. She had recorded Kitsumi's actions. Breathing heavily she spoke, intelligence. Is. Fatal. Class 1A. The next day. Izuku was swinging from the ceiling wrapped up in tape courtesy of Sirohanta's quirk. You guessed it. Tape and reinforced by purple sticky balls courtesy of Mineta. Izuku sighed as his green puffball hair hung down, revealing a very unamused expression. You did unintentionally create a crisis scenario with your stunt yesterday. Izuku gave a heavy sigh as he swayed to and fro, occasionally someone would throw a paper airplane at him sticking to the balls. Aizawa did nothing as he continued on with his lesson plan, he only set to cut him down after the bell rings. That was cut him down, not free him. Achako and Kitsumi were not there, suspended for 2 days for starting the crisis. You know you could break free of this confinement easily, Lucifer mused. Izuku sighed again, yeah I do, but I did do my class wrong, another paper airplane hit him in the eye. Izuku grunted as it fell and got caught in the balls. Very funny, Denki, Izuku groaned as his back pulsed with his blessing. Just as funny as you leaving us a shitstorm that was Typhoon Pikachu Dumbus. Izuku then sighed again at Denki's retort, yeah go on sigh like the dumb fuck you are. Careful you might overcharge and forget to breathe. Izuku fired back causing Denki to send electricity surging to his fist. Ooh oh pretty, better save that for your higher motor functions, or better yet redistribute it to your lateral frontal cortex, we all know you need to raise your IQ. Denki's eyes widened to the snickers of the class, they could not help it was a serious burn. Now sit your simple Simon Sans Pie Man ass down and listen to the lesson, Denki was livid, Izuku then looked Yaoi Rozu, better yet, make him a puzzle box with an answer key telling him where each shape goes into. Yaoi Rozu was so shocked that she almost did it, as Denki was almost about to cry. Izuku returned his gaze back to him, now go sit facing the corner till the lesson is over. To which Denki did to the shock of all. The paper airplane stopped, the classroom was silent, even Aizawa was unsure what to do next. He had lost his train of thought as Denki sniffled in the corner, trying to salvage his mental and self-worth. As soon as the bell rang Izuku shot out his wings in blade form, flipping down landing on his feet, he then adjusted his uniform and gathered his stuff. Retracting his wings he bowed, I am immensely sorry for the crisis I caused yesterday. He then looked at Denki. Punishment over. Izuku then exited the room to head to his next class. Izuku had placed first in every event before now, however now the real tournament begins. This was why the stadium was filled, this was the reason the hero agencies attended this event. The 1v1s, and this year all eyes were on Lucifer's heir, Izuku Morningstar. He was confident as he stepped onto the arena along with the other participants. Kitsumi stood beside him, he wanted to hold her hand, but things were still terrible. His relationship with Achako had deteriorated to an unrequited love, as she could not let him go. Any girl that had tried to approach him, she would instantly chase away. Izuku had to on more than one occasion to step in and defend a female student from her Yandere tendencies. The explosive blonde was on his right emitting a dark haunting aura and the only one who Uraraka would not dare attack. Izuku stepped up to the microphone in the middle of the arena, he then gave some words about sportsmanship and to go plus ultra yi. With that the participants returned to the locker room. Before Izuku entered the male locker room Kitsumi pulled him into an empty corridor, then into the open janitor office. She locked the door behind her, Kitsumi. She pushed Izuku into a wall and kissed him as he wrapped her in his arms. So are you wanting to restart? Make it to the finals and find out, she then kissed him again as he grabbed her left breast, causing her to moan. I'm sorry Izuku. She said breaking their embrace and she left him in the office. Now properly motivated, Izuku clenched his fist as his Lightbringer blessing glowed within it. He then exited and headed to the locker room. This is the only thing that matters. This was what people came to the festival, not the race, not the stupid cavalry battle, but the battle tournament. The former patchy places in the bleachers were now filled to the brim with citizens, solo heroes, media, and agency scouts. Izuku along with several of his other classmates stepped into the arena. They waved to the crowds acknowledging their praise. From the opposite end of the arena were students from 1B and one from General Studies. The students shook hands with each other, then returned to the locker rooms. The first round was about to begin as Izuku took a moment, he paused taking in Kitsumi's words that she spoke in the janitor office. She wants me back, Izuku thought as a smile reached his lips, but it quickly faded. Do you want her back? Lucifer spoke from inside his son's head, Izuku remained with a blank expression. He missed her, yeah, but did he want her back? Familiarity can be a tricky thing. He then remembered her shameless flirting with the other guys. It was obvious to both father and son that she was only trying to make him jealous. It worked for a time, but he quickly lost interest, was this another attempt to tease? Son, what do you want? I really do not rightly know father, Izuku responded mentally as he looked up seeing his opponent walk past him staring him down. I want to win though, seems like it would be fun. He chuckled in his mind as he met his opponent stare with his own. Then just concentrate on that then, decide later on the latter, Lucifer said playfully. Slapping his cheeks and regaining focus Izuku smiles in agreement. The Jumbotron displayed the first match-up. Morningstar. One versus Shinso. General Studies. With the crack of Midnight's whip, the first bout begins with Shinso opening up with an insult to Izuku's family name. The name of a fallen devil's spawn, how appropriate for 1A's so-called finest angel Izuku, is angered by Hitashi's insults charges and attacks him. How blasphemous, Izuku opens his mouth to tell him to take back his words, but Izuku mysteriously stops moving. In the staff section of the stadium, Shota Izawa and Present Mick talk a little bit about Hitashi's history and about his quirk. It was Izuku's response to his opponent's words was what led to Izuku's downfall. Hitachi orders Izuku to go out of bounds. Izuku then turns around and starts to walk out of the arena. In his head, what the bloody hell are you doing? Lucifer calls out from his son's mind. Izuku tries to stop himself, but his body is moving on its own accord and the green-haired boy was starting to lose consciousness. Stop this insanity. Izuku sees the end of the arena, Izuku Belial Morningstar. At his full name Izuku stops. Abruptly, bloody bastard, Izuku what do we know? Izuku was about to speak, bugger off, you want to lose. Izuku then takes a moment gathering his wits about him, no, thanks father. At your bollocks thank you, Lucifer says in a smug voice as Izuku relays all the information he gathered, so, just keep your bloody mouth shut and let's put this miscreant back in his place. Okay, I'm good Izuku turns his head towards his opponent, who has a look of shock on his face, not this time Izuku raises a hand waving a finger no. How you feeling fallen? Shinso says as Lucifer seizes Izuku's vocal cord functions. Izuku curses himself almost falling for it again. Are you daft? Lucifer barks at him as Izuku blinks, refocuses, and narrows his eyes as his shimmering wings shoot out. One shot, make it clean with a single powerful flap, Izuku launches Shinso completely out of bounds and into a wall via gale force winds. Shinso bet the house on his own power, falling to his own hubris. Izuku took a breath, then gently with a single flap, moved towards him. Without speaking he offers his hand, Shinso looks at it, then back to him. Izuku takes a breath as he begins to close his hand. Shinso takes it to Izuku's chagrin, "It's over, no need to use my quirk on you." Izuku pulls him up, then hugs him. Shinso is shocked by the gesture as he sees his wings cover both of them. His opponent feels the warmth from his wings as his eyes begin to tear up. For the first time, he felt like everything was right in the world. "I'm not a villain," he says through tear-filled eyes. "No, you are not." Izuku's voice was sincere and filled with understanding. "Keep showing everyone who you are and shine bright like the sun." Shinso was now bawling, "I believe in you, now show the world." But their battle over, Kitsumi was next, her opponent was Uraraka. Yeah, the so-called Yandere was completely and utterly demolished as Kitsumi advanced. Todoroki Shoto, quirk. Hot Cold, went up against Bondo Kajirm, quirk. Semidine, a glue power. The combination of heat and freezing his quirk was rendered useless as Shoto sealed him in a block of ice, advancing to the next round. The final battle was between Shiizaki Ibara, quirk. Vine, what more was needed to explain, she was a plant lady. She went up against Amanari Denki, quirk. Electricity, also self-explanatory, their battle was grounded in her victory. With that the battle tournament's first round came to an end. Once again the Jumbotron lit up for the start of round 2. Morningstar. 1 vs Shiizaki. 1B. Round 2 opened up with Izuku versing the Holy Maiden of 1B. Shiizaki Ibara. A light seemed to radiate from her in a bright aura that rivaled that of Izuku's wings. On instinct Izuku's wings shot out, then began to shimmer and shine as the crowd roared in approval. Morningstar. Ibara narrowed her yes, something was wrong, very wrong, she could feel it in her spirit, this is not holy, it's coming from the Prince of Darkness. Izuku cracked his neck, now that's just rude. She can feel my presence, father must just love this one, Lucifer taking notice of the aura she is radiating. Well, this will be interesting. Midnight made her way to the center of the arena. She smiled devilishly as she drew near to Izuku, so beautiful. Her breath dancing up the side of Izuku's wing. He tried to ignore her, but his wings were the most sensitive part of his anatomy as he struggled to expand them to their full length and upward, shaking with a glimmer of their supernatural light. Ibara looked at Midnight, resist the devil and he will flee. Midnight brushed the girl aside, keeping her focus on the large wings in front of her. Izuku winced as he began to feel a slight twinge of pain in his mind. What was this? Izuku could feel his father wincing and growing restless. Ox has nothing on you, big boy. Midnight blew Izuku a kiss. Begin. Shaking the discomfort aside, Izuku rolled his eyes as he charged. Be sober-minded. Be watchful. Your adversary the devil prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. She prayed, wanting to end this quickly. She knew his strength, for the joy of the Lord is my strength and I shall not want. Her words stopped him in his tracks as he suddenly began to feel a migraine coming on. Izuku gritted his teeth. May he grant you favor, Shiizaki-san. Izuku took to the air only for her vines to bring him crashing down into the arena. Izuku groans, Dad, why does it feel like my mind is on fire? As his wings flickered then ceased, he grumbled as the thorns dug into his beautiful white and green wings. Why do I feel weak? The word of Dad is powerful, my son. Lucifer was shaking inside, quoting the holy scriptures not only caused him extreme pain, but weakened his power. Izuku's wings flickered, revealing this to be true. You need to end this quickly or she will zap our power with only her words. Izuku was going to have to power through, he did not want to hurt her, but this pain was quickly becoming more of a problem. She was not stopping. Something tells me, like most things on you, the wings aren't meant to fly to freedom, but are weapons in disguise. Izuku gritted his teeth as he weaponized his feathers into blades bursting from the constraints. Ibara eyes wide in faith shield. Her fines wrap and intertwine themselves tightly as Izuku slices through them. From behind her. Vines Ibara was clearly shaken as her eyes went wild, quaking in sync with the rest of her body. Despite the pain he was feeling, he was still the same kind-hearted Izuku Morningstar as spoke through gritted teeth. Indeed, I apologize if you are feeling any pain. More and more vines fill in the gap the others leave from the bladed appendages. He could see her concentrating on keeping him at bay. She had to act quickly and keep him pushing forward at her. Vines come from behind Izuku and bind his hands and feet, pulling his wings down. Crucifixion. She yells, falling to her knees as vines consume Izuku inside a ball of green vines. The god of peace will soon crush Satan under my feet. At her prayer, Izuku's strength then shot down suddenly as his wings returned to their base form and his light dimmed more. He was down, his mind on fire, he could hear his father screaming. Bloody hell. Lucifer's essence was bouncing off Izuku's mindscape, the holy verses she was using was maddening. Izuku. His father called out, suddenly Izuku's mind went calm, the pain immense, he was going to push beyond it. His father called out again as Izuku gathered up his blessing, centering it, compressing it, Izuku. Soon the light ignited in a blaze. The bar was panting, her stamina waning as light seemed to shine upon her, assuring her she was doing the Lord's work. Thank you, O Holy Father. Yeah. No. Izuku was sweating, his body aching as he struggled to gather his blessing. It hurts, but I must go beyond. The light was a far cry from the assurance she first thought. Beams of light was steady bursting from the seams of endless tightly wrapped vines. Lucifer chimed in, the scriptures had made him lose conscience. These bloody plants are a right proper nuisance. Lucifer said from inside the dark ball of vines inside Izuku. Harbor no ill will, my child, to the holy maiden, she is only following her desires. Izuku didn't, he just wanted his migraine to end. Yeah, and we are all about that, aren't we, father? Of course, don't be such a nutter. Lucifer chuckled and winced as the vines began to wilt under the ungodly heat coming from Izuku's wings. Do her a proper and send her off as the gentleman I raised you to be. Izuku began to laugh through his pain as the outside vines began to turn black and the crowd started to roar. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Her eyes widened as Izuku shot out of the ball of vines and into the sky, his wings seemingly on fire. His emerald eyes seemed to glow emotionless as he looked down at her. Your fancy light show holds no sway over me. Izuku then flapped his wings once, going up higher and into a dive bomb. Big tree. A wall of vines shoot up to block an upcoming attack, while the roots gather around awaiting to recapture her opponent. The burning fire comes down from his wings to his left hand. Lightbringer lance. The fire forms a cone as the heat kills the roots, drilling past the vines. Before the lance goes through Abara, it flattens out into a shield, sending Abara tumbling back, knocking up pieces of the arena as she comes to a stop meters from the edge. The crowd resounds in sympathetic groans of shared pain. Abara struggles to prop herself up. Yield please, O holy maiden. Abara shook her head. No, I will show you the mercy that you and your evil master do not show to others. He hated that her words infuriated him. So he is not my master, I am Lucifer's son, and I am not evil. He declared as he pulls her up. She struggles as they begin to grapple. Not evil. Deceiving the hearts of humankind and leading them astray is evil. Izuku's words fell on deaf ears. You claim you are not evil, but you are in the company of evil. His grip tightened. I feel it. Izuku was hating this, she was so innocent, but he wanted to win. She headbutted him, breaking his hold on her, and then came back with a haymaker. Izuku grabbed her arm, flipping her over his shoulder, slamming her to the ground. The wind suddenly exits her lungs as she hits the ground from his power. Izuku wanted her to yield, hurting her was killing him. Mankind has free will, my father and I are based on desire, in its purest form, it's not good or bad, till actions become attached to it. The bar rose to her feet after catching her breath. Oh please, spare me the nonsense, there aren't even cameras here. Ibarra was not having it. I'm sure your father's forked tongue has convinced you of many lies such as these. The irony was not lost on him at her words, but Izuku could not help but feel anger at her false accusations of his father, the one who raised him. He loved his father, and so did he, there was no deception in it. Their vines once more shot out, weaker, so Izuku caught them wrapping them around his forearm. The thorns were not there. I force no one to do anything, I only ask the question. Izuku is now in front of her, squatting and looking deep into her eyes. Tell me, holy maiden, what is it you desire? She can feel her truth bubbling to the surface, her heart's desire, it was not from carnality, but, my desire is to see justice done. So do I. His voice told no lies, she was spent and with a heavy heart, Ibarra yields. The battle between Kitsumi and Shoto went as expected, both students wanted it badly, but in the end Kitsumi triumphed. Izuku was on his way to the finals, this would decide who would face him. Kitsumi didn't give a flying fornication about winning at all, she wanted to punish Izuku for what he did to her. That fucking rabbit. How could he? He was hers, no one else's. It was this catalyst that put Shoto down for the count. Every hit she was destroying that rabbit. Every explosion was her punishing Izuku for hurting her, cheating on her, making her fall in love with him. Izuku Morningstar was her only one, she loved him. Flashback. Kitsumi's room. From then to now. She got home after the incident at Lux, she did not even enter through the front door. Using her quirk, she launched herself to her bedroom window, opened it, and leapt to her bed. She screamed into her pillow, Izuku, why? She screamed over and over. He touched another, right in front of her, no regard, lost in that hippity-hoppity bunny bitch's mounds of fat, entranced by them. She had called out to him and had to raise her voice to snap him out of it. Izuku, my Izu. Izuku had, in her eyes, had betrayed her, hurting her deeper than she had ever felt. Homeroom was no better, her flirting with the other boys was just a tactic or getting back at him, she could not tell. She knew she looked good, several glances at the other male extras proved that. She was naturally athletic, maintaining her figure came easy for her due to her quirk and her own enjoyment she got from working out. She did not bother to learn any of her classmates' names, male or female. Izuku was the only one she believed to be worth remembering, that and she was completely and utterly, helplessly in love with the greenette. Yet you fell for that bunny whore. She told herself under breath. It was then she pushed her luck too far and she, forced him into the arms of another. She's a basic bitch. The girl she called round-faced tramp was now all over her man. Jack ears, big titty brains, pink one or the frog were better, but no, he chose that basic bitch. Flashback end. Present. Itsumi looked up at the monitor as she saw her name come up along with her ex's. Baka, come back to me and win this stupid shit. She was not going to just roll over and let him win. She knew she was truly outmatched by him, fucking Satan was the source of his power. Celestial power. How could she even fathom taking down a literal deity? Earn this Katsuden. It hot and ready for you, it misses you. With Izuku he was taking a breather as the monitor above him droned on and then shot up his name. What do I desire? Izuku said to himself as he cracked his neck getting up from the locker room bench. I think, Izuku took a breath as he turned facing Endeavor, why was he here? Sorry, no autographs. Amusing boy, the massive man groaned. And you are not attractive enough for my tastes. Cannot say I am not offended, but I have come to give you an offer nonetheless. Ooh flirt, Izuku gave the number 2 hero a flirty raised brow, if you ask me real nicely I can get us into Lux, I kinda know the owner. You are your father's son, but no, I wish to give you a work study, also Shoto thoughts on you are spot on, especially after what I seen. In turn with the number 2 hero. What did the blonde idiot offer you first? He did but, his agency is kind of rigid, no real wiggle room. Straight and narrow is our path, but flexibility is necessary to travel it. Enough of this endeavor, Izuku was face to chest in an instant, the number 2 hero did not even see him move. Izuku's wings shot out. Blinding Endeavor with their brilliance as he covered his eyes. As the light faded Izuku hovered in front of him and was face to face with him peering into his eyes. Tell me, Todoroki Enji, Endeavor was entraced, what is your desire? Endeavor's mouth quivered a bit before he gave into Izuku's mojo, for my son to step into my greatness. Arrogance. Legacy, a better one than that of my own. Redemption. Rebirth, Endeavor lay bare before him, as tears filled his eyes, I am a monster, I have lost my way in pursuit. No coveting what All Might is and has. Of it, a sin I am most familiar with, for the normalcy of my peers, acceptance from all, the love from others than my family. Then let us solve both our desires, Endeavor crossed his arms, take my offer, help my boy where I have failed. An alarm rang out giving the greenette the 2-minute warning. Think about my offer boy, Endeavor then stepped aside as Izuku nodded and walked past him to the arena. 9. Festival end. President Mick announced his entrance as Izuku stepped into the light from his end of the stadium. He paused taking in the crowd's cheers and chants calling out his name. Morningstar. The chant would start, the light bringer. The crowd roared deafening everything around the arena. So Izuku took a breath closing his eyes, light bringer. At this Izuku shot out his wings from his back while raising his arms acknowledging their calls. He opened his eyes and looked directly at his opponent, Bakum. She was beautiful with her murderous crimson eyes as she returned his stare with her own. The stadium went silent as he took to the air with a mighty flap launching him up and onto the stage. He landed in a crouch, then bounced to his feet, bringing his wings back in. Well. The voice came from the referee, the rated R heroine. Midnight, she cracked her whip. Quite an entrance young man, she licked her lips as Izuku only giving a small smirk his eyes never leaving Bakum. His opponent's hand sparked at his actions, Ara by all means begin. Midnight then cracked her whip as Izuku shot out his wings blinding Bakum. In an instant she was in his arms, he then shot up into the air. I want to be up there. Midnight fanned herself with her whip involuntarily. What's the deal? Bakum growled as she struggled in his arm. I'm sorry. He then dropped her suddenly. Bakum's eyes then widened as she began to fall. She forgot she could hover for the moment firing off her quirk just in time to catch herself from falling. Izuku landed a few meters back as his ex roared launching herself to him. Izuku sighed as he easily dodged all her attacks, he was dancing around her with little to no effort. She brought nothing new to this, he was calling out her attacks in his mind. Bakum was getting frustrated and he was no longer taking her seriously. You fucking Deku. She blasted forward taking to air spinning like a tornado gathering oxygen to fuel her incoming explosion. Howitzer impact. She then unleashed it all point blank upon Izuku. The stage lit up with a massive explosion with the crowd favorite at ground zero. No. As the fire burned with smoke beginning to clear, Izuku's wings cleared it leaving only the flames. No, Bakum's eyes widened as Izuku's wings then turned to blades with a shing. Bakum was breathing hard as she gritted her teeth readying another attack. Arg. Izuku was on her, his blades at her neck. He said nothing as his bladed feathers shined from the flames engulfing the stage. "What do you want, my son?" Lucifer said inside his mind. Izuku responds, "To be a hero." But Lucifer could hear the shift in his voice. "This bores me." Izuku dropped his wing, causing Bakugan to pause and narrow her eyes at him. "Goodbye, Kitsumi." Bakugan blinked as Izuku turned his back on her, walking away towards the end of the stage. "Izuku." Bakugan called out his name as she blasted towards him. "Don't you dare." She readied an explosion in her right hand, only to meet Midnight's whip blocking her as Izuku hopped out of bounds. "No." Bakugan Kitsumi wins. Midnight says as deadpan as Izawa-sensei. Kitsumi then screamed, "I forfeit." Izuku never broke his stride as he walked to the exit, the crowd gasping at what just occurred. Midnight held the young girl back with her whip. "It's too late." "Izuku." Kitsumi screamed, her crimson eyes filled with hot tears, her first love disappearing into the tunnel. He was not looking back. Why was he doing this? She pushed past Midnight's whip only for the heroine to catch her by the arm. "It's over," Midnight told her, instantly deciphering the truth, bringing her to herself. Kitsumi broke down into Midnight's chest. "Izu." She whimpered his name over and over. Midnight hugged her, remembering her first breakup. "He's gone, girl." "Izuku." Kitsumi called out his name, but like Midnight said, he was gone. "Let it out." Midnight held her. She knew what Kitsumi was going through. She had loved him. Much later. Izuku stood in silence waiting for the ceremony to end. He came in second. Kitsumi wasn't even standing, quietly sitting, her head buried in her knees. Todoroki was in third as he looked at first and second place in confusion. All Might was the one to present the awards. After some generic words that were ultimately ignored by Izuku and Kitsumi, the UA Sports Festival ended. Kitsumi did not show up for school the next day or the rest of the week for that matter. Izuku paid it no mind. He closed off that chapter of his love life, never to return. A small part of him believed that he may have lost a chance at true love. "Probably did, my precious son. There will be others, new lovers, and opportunities to be loved," Lucifer told him in his mind. "I know," Izuku whispered to himself and looked at her empty desk. With a shing, he popped out a bladed wing. At its end was another X, Uraraka. Her pursuit had reached its climax. "Izawa-sensei, I am about to be expelled and/or arrested." Izawa looked up from his sleeping bag and let out a groan. "Please don't." Izuku narrowed his eyes. "This is a statement of intent, sensei. I am going to live a long time." Izawa's went red to no effect. "I have nothing to lose, I am extremely rich, and I'm set for life either way." Uraraka swallowed hard as his wing pushed in a faint. 100 years, 200. "I am the goddamn son of Lucifer Morningstar, Lord of Hell," Izuku said as he got up, his wing never leaving Uraraka's throat as the rest of the class activated their quirks. "Have you lost your damned mind?" Tenya, quirk. Engine, he has them in his legs and can go real fast. The turbo hero in training. Said with his hands chopping the air. Izuku then turned his head towards him, his skin seemed to burn. "Izuku." Lucifer calls out, Thinger in his voice rising. Izuku growls in his mindscape, "It's not like any of them, believe me." "That's not the point." Lucifer forces him to look at his reflection. "Your face is becoming devil-like." Izuku gives a snarl. He was frustrated, why he did not know. It felt like his skin was on fire, it was melting, revealing something horrifying underneath. The class, even Izawa Sensei stood up from his place behind his teaching platform. The rage was burning within him, since after the sports festival, so what do I? Lucifer then manifested fully in his mindscape, grabbing his astral form. Lucifer spoke, his voice dark, "You will behave." Izuku dropped his wing, liberating Uraraka. "I will not force you to apologize, for she was irritating, however we do not take lives, I would rather fade into oblivion." Somehow Izuku gets a hold of himself, he looks back at Uraraka, who was now backing down, scared to death. He then returned his eyes to the front of the class, his face began to return to normal. "What would you have recommended then, Dad?" "Honestly, that, only difference being, I would have no Ki-Ling intent, just enough to make my point." Lucifer took a breath. "What is going on, son? What was that?" "I feel." Izuku clenched his fists. "I need you, Dad." Lucifer raised an eyebrow in his mind. "Not like this, I miss you so much, father, I feel lost." Lucifer closed his eyes. Izuku wanted him in a physical form. "Am I wrong to miss my father's embrace?" Izuku could feel his father shaking his head. "No, I wanted you there, not in my mind. Cheering you on. My dear son." Lucifer now felt it, the full impact of his son's longing. "The more I tried not to be my father, I became him." Lucifer turned his head. "I am so sorry, my son." Izuku felt his tears in his eyes. "You're not here." Izuku says, the words coming out of his mouth instead of his mind. "Who?" Aizawa says as the rest of the class remaining silent. I need you here, Dad. Izuku gave into his emotions. I know you had to go, but goddammit, it's so empty, and I am so alone. Izuku screams as he falls to his knees. Lucifer reaches out to his son, but cannot touch him. What is the point if I am left hollow? I want to do right by you, father, but it's so fucking hard. Izuku breaks down as Awa tries to come near him, but his wings shoot out and he shielded himself from everyone. Izuku, I told you this would be hard, Lucifer begins as he hears his son crying out to him. Lucifer's own heart was breaking, for both of us. His voice a whisper. The former Lord of Hell was feeling for his, no, he missed him too, memories flooded Lucifer's consciousness. Izuku's first steps, his first words calling him dad, that moment he knew the boy was more than his new vessel. Izuku, more than anything I wish I could grant your wish. I miss holding you too, son, but. I know, Dad, I will have to overcome this. Izuku then rose his wings revealing his handsome visage. The ghostly outline of Lucifer in bright yellow then seemed to rise from the ground and overlap Izuku with a heavy heart. Yes, you will have to, I am so sorry. Izawa backed up as did most of the class as Izuku turned his head, his eyes flashing a burning green, before abruptly vanishing. Over Izuku was what seemed to be his father's ghostly afterimage. But I will always be with you, the Lightbringer's heir, the son of the devil himself. The class's eyes widen at Lucifer's words. They could physically hear him. You will do well, for you are my son, for whom I am well pleased. Thanks for watching.